Welcome to Bathurst for the highlight of this year's practice for the Hardie Ferrari 1000. For the first time, the 10 fastest cars will fight it out for grid positions, Indianapolis style. And here are the 10 top contenders coming down the top of the mountain for the first time. Behind the pace car, we have Peter Brock on the left-hand side, Alan Grice alongside him, then John French, Jack Brabham, the two Ron Hodson Channel 7 cars, Colin Bond on the outside in car 2, Garth Wigston from Tasmania in Tirana 20, a fairly even spread of Ford and Holdens here, the big V8s, Alan Moffat in car 1, and from Queensland, Dick Johnson making up the 10. In practice earlier today, we did have Charlie O'Brien in the second of the Holden dealer team cars, fourth fastest, but he crashed after doing it, didn't make the top 10, and that led Grice on the right-hand side, who was 11th fastest, up into these top 10 contenders.
If one car runs against the clock are going to be interesting because of the changeable weather here. Bobby Morris was fastest earlier today with a 2:21.7, but they won't be doing anything like that, at least not in this early part.
Track conditions, anything but good, but plenty of action assured. We'll take a break and then be back with the first qualifying run.
The cars lined up. It's Grice and Leffler, Muir and Brabham, French and Brown from Tasmania, Wigston and Negus, Bell and Questa, the overseas drivers, Johnson and Shupin in their blue Falcon, Bond and Gibson, Brock and Richards, Ix, Moffat inside the car, Morris and Fitzpatrick. They're the top 10. They'll draw for starting positions.
That's the scene on pit straight as the cars line up, waiting to draw for their positions.
Alan Moffat sits in the car, co-driver Jackie Ix standing outside.
Moffat doesn't want to get his shoes wet.
Ivan Stibbard, position number 10, so I don't think Alan will be too happy about that.
Unless the weather changes. Alan, very tense. Here's Peter Brock, hoping for a late number, I'd say, because the weather's clearing. It looks like he's got an early number. Colin Bond, I don't think Colin would care what he got, although $8,250 rides on the result. Fastest driver will get that. Well, Colin seems happy.
Well, Alan Grice got the number 1 marble and he's first away.
The track, as you can see, is extremely wet. Grice would not be terribly happy about being first car out. Well, watch his approach to the first corner. Very, very tricky indeed, this track here today at Mount Panorama.
Grice led the race in the first lap last year, a real sprinter. Whether he quite has the machine to do it, and of course, if the track gets drier, he'll be cursing that number 1 draw because the later runners will certainly get an advantage. But around the track, quite a few modifications made this year. A little wider, that concrete fence on the right-hand side of your screen is an innovation that the overseas drivers particularly welcome. They didn't like that yawning drop that went down the mountain before.
You can see Grice, car number 6.
He's on wet weather tyres, which must slow him down. These runs will probably be in the order of 14 to 16 seconds slower than their dry weather times this morning, when all of them were well under the existing lap record, which Alan Moffat holds, of 26.4.
Grice, not a bad line, almost kisses the side of the dirt there, but goes through to complete his lap.
2:38.2.
Well,
now, Jack Brabham coming across the line. There are 2 cars at once, one doing the fast lap, one preparing, and it's Brabham now, the second man out.
Jack Brabham, who won't forget his return to racing here at Bathurst a few years ago, but this is the first occasion that Brabham has come to Bathurst with his own team, touring car. A little sideways going over the top there. The track, as you can see, is starting to dry at the top part of the mountain.
A very hazardous run for Jack Brabham. He's got a bit of everything, wet in places, then dry, and that would be the worst possible combination that you can imagine. Brabham, of course, with the experience, and he has Brian Muir, who is equally experienced as co-driver. Certainly a team who could run in the top 3, I'd say, as long as conditions favour them mechanically. In the meantime, it's Brabham down towards the end of the run.
Jack Brabham, not a bad run considering the track conditions. Last corner coming up, the approach here is vital. Not too bad, and he goes on to record his lap.
2:40.81.
You seem to have some problem down the last corner, Jack. What happened?
Just a minute. I just take my hat off. I got earplugs in.
I was saying you seem to have some problem down in the last corner.
Yeah, actually it was a bit slippery down there, and I think the main thing I was interested in is having it in one piece for Sunday. That's the main object.
So it's the race, not the practice, that
That's
concerns
right.
Jack Brabham.
Very good.
Dick Johnson, one of the 2 drivers in the Brian Burt Ford team from Queensland. Also driving in this particular team, we have Warwick Brown, Vern Shupin and John French. Very, very fast in the early practice today, and one certain to draw well on the grid.
The Brian Burt Ford moving very fast up towards the top of the mountain, and as Mike Raymond said, the track is starting to dry out in patches, but it was a disappointing run all the same for Dick Johnson at 2:35.74. Now away again, and this is the second of the Ron Hodgson Channel 7 ASL Tiranas with Derek Bell at the wheel. His co-driver, of course, is Dieter Quester. And they've been turning in some very, very good times. Let's see how, how he handles that corner. But he managed to get the tail out a little bit, as a couple of them have done under these conditions.
I think, Gary, that first corner is going to be the key to many of the runs. If you have a fast run through the first corner, you're quick all the way up the mountain. And look at Derek Bell flying. It's still wet there, must be very treacherous, very tricky for Bell. A vastly experienced driver. He's won Le Mans, and he's one of the top endurance drivers in the world. Went so well last year to win the 2-litre class, and I reckon that Bell and Quester could be the first international drivers ever to win here at Mount Panorama.
Here he is on Conrod Straight, number 27. Drove here last year in the Brian Foley Alpha. Back now to run a V8 and doing a good job of it too. A wheel into the dirt as he completes his one-lap trial.
2:36.5 was the time.
It's like that, is it?
Wasn't really very long, was it?
Not very long, pretty slippery, wasn't it?
Very slippery. Yeah, well, it's the changing conditions. 1 minute it's dry, and then you come under the trees and it's all very slippery and rather nasty.
On race day, do you want a dry track or a wet track?
I think dry. You know, I mean, 6.5 hours or 8.5 hours as it would be in the dry is a bit unfunny, you know. But I think the dry would be better. But I'm voting for the dry, thanks.
By now, conditions were starting to dry, and we had bright sunlight above. But the track's still wet in places, and the teams were placed with all sorts of decisions. And behind in the pits, crews were worrying what sort of tyres they should fit. Would the wets last? Should they change to intermediates? Or were dry the answer? Well, the first few cars went out, and their times were still fairly slow. Bob Morris, so fast in the morning, could do no better than a 2:32.8. A very disappointed man. Then Garth Weekson from Tasmania went out in the Roadways Tirana. He did a 2:37.09, and he too was a little crestfallen, because that was 15 seconds or so off the pace he was looking for. Colin Bond, of whom so much was expected, went out in the big Ford Falcon, a 2:31.77, but he too was running on wet tyres, and they weren't good enough for the drying track. John French went out from Queensland, a 2:30.24, came in with his engine running badly, and he wasn't going to go again, and now the decision was made. It was slicks, and the first man to try was Alan Moffat. We'll see how he went in just a moment.
Back on the Mount Panorama circuit, one car against the clock, and this is the one they love to hate, Alan Moffat.
Green flag for the 1977 Hardie Ferrado 1000 winner. The man who last year almost engineered that magnificent 1-2 finish. And he is trying a beautiful line through that corner. That's going to put him in top gear for a run up to the top of the mountain. Alan Moffat desperately wanting pole position for this 1978 race. Not only for what it brings in terms of money, $8,250, but to have the blue and white Ford Cobra sitting up there is just what Alan wants. And he is really screaming up this part of the circuit.
Running on slicks, the first car to tackle the course like this. It's much drier, as you can see, but there are still some wet patches up top, and Alan Moffat will have to be very, very careful because he is flying.
Tremendous bat in this Cobra Falcon up the mountain there, and Moffat's putting everything into this one.
Yes, really trying hard. He has the stick well and truly all the way to the floor. We'll catch the shot of him through the trees here as he goes onto the top part of the mountain. He hasn't backed off once. He is really trying hard.
There's a rough patch through there, and there's a little bit of water on the edge of the track through the trees. You can just see it there, and that'll stop his heart for a fraction of a second. And now he's all screwed up, and Moffat, intense as ever, flying across the top of the mountain. He's after the record, he's after the prize money, he's after the prestige of being fastest around the mountain. 4 times winner here. He'd love to make it 5 this year.
And he's about 4 or 5 seconds faster to the top of the mountain than most of the other cars have been at this point.
He is really trying hard, coming through this very, very demanding part. Let's watch his approach to this corner. He's a very, very smooth driver, goes through there, and now we have Conrod Straight and the accelerator all the way to the floor as Alan Moffat goes after pole position for this year's race. Sitting in the middle of the road, waiting for his speed. We have a radar speed trap halfway down the straight. It'll be coming out shortly. Here it comes now, 159 miles an hour down Conrod Straight.
Oh, that's flying.
Really screaming, and Alan Moffat in hot pursuit of this pole position here today at Mount Panorama. Now, the final corner, the critical corner for Alan Moffat. He has to get through here with a smooth line. And he's done it. It's going to be a very quick time.
2:21.59.
Tremendous 2:21.59 to Alan Moffat, the fastest man around the mountain in a touring car.
97 miles an hour plus. What a phenomenal performance.
Well, Alan, the fastest time ever recorded by a touring car, 21.59. Can you do better?
Probably not a lot, but I'd certainly like to thank the guy.
That must have been a real effort, Alan, because everyone's been so much slower. Are there still treacherous patches on the track?
Yes, there are. It's a pity, but we elected it. We got the lucky dip and ran out 10th, and thanks to our Motorola contacts, we knew the track was dry around the circuit, and we went for broke. But
that must be an enormous effort, Alan.
Very emotional, Alan Moffat there talking with Evan Green. Well, the track has dried at Mount Panorama. Alan Grice, who was first car out in the wet, now goes on to slick tyres and tries to equal Moffat's time.
He won't be pushing it very hard to do that. Amazing performance by Moffat, 2:21.59, but Grice is pushing as hard as he possibly
Grice
can.
has caught a double hand of lock here. He almost into the wall. Just, oh, goodness me, almost right the back of the car off of the wall. He is really trying.
He's going to have to be content with about a 2:25.9.
Garth Wigston, another of the Tirana Brigade, now on a dry track, really trying hard to equal the time. Goes into this corner, loses it and catches it again, and loses it and catches it. So Garth Wigston also suffering the same fate of trying too hard in the dry conditions.
2:37 on his first run and returns on this at 2:26.14.
Bobby Morris, the man who was quickest in early morning practice, takes the green flag. Here is a boy that's going to go all out, all the way in the Channel 7 Tirana.
And again, this first corner critical. A smooth approach, absolutely essential for a fast exit. Let's watch Bob Morris.
Not good enough.
No, that's going to really rob precious seconds off his time. Now at the top part of the mountain, puts a wheel over the little curve there and is trying desperately hard. He runs up to this right-hander, has it buried all the way to the floor, almost sideways through there, takes another handful of wheel, and Bob Morris is really trying to gain pole position.
Well, of course, he knows the times that have been posted and what he's got to match, and he's pushing it so hard.
Well, just to watch how hard he's trying, just watch his hands on the steering wheel as he comes into the next corner. He is really trying hard, grappling at the wheel. Here he comes. Really throwing that car around.
I think once I mucked up that corner, I knew that the lap wasn't going to be a real good one. What was the time?
Have a guess.
23.
21.6 or 2.6.
Well, it's better than it should have been.
You're right up here in the front as far as the race is concerned.
Oh yes, we're right for the race. You know, it's just a pity I mucked up one corner. I did a pretty bad job of it actually. Otherwise, I think we were right on the ballpark.
Here he comes, Colin Bond, the second of the Moffat Ford dealer team drivers to try and qualify to gain pole position. Here's the man who sat on the front row last year with Peter Brock for the Hardie Frodo 1000. He lines up, but catches a back wheel in the dirt.
Clock's running.
Yes, takes the green flag now. So Colin Bond is on the way for one lap.
He might suffer from that rather poor approach because he'd be down on revs by the time he hit the corner. How's he go through this one?
Well, that's a lot better.
That's a fast thing, but I think Colin will be regretting that first corner before he actually got the clock, because it would have slowed him in his approach, and he's battling to make up time, but he's not doing a bad job. He's been out there for only 20 seconds at the moment. That's as quick as anyone has made to the crest of the hill.
He's really trying up through here too, Evan. Watch the front of the car dipping and bobbing as he absolutely puts the throttle right to the floor and tries this tremendous climb up the mountain and to equal the time posted by Alan Moffat, and perhaps to even better it.
2:31.77 was Colin's time in the first session, but of course that was under the wet conditions.
And the time he has to beat by his own teammate, Alan Moffat, in his first run at 2:21.59. a phenomenal 5 seconds inside the existing lap record, which Moffat himself holds.
At this point, I think Bond would be going close to matching that time.
Well, he's certainly as smooth as Moffat, and if anything, he seems to be trying a little harder, if that is at all possible, because Moffat put everything into his 1 lap time trial.
A little drier under those hills than we saw with Moffat, so he may have had just a marginally improved run through there. Now at the top, Moffat went through in 120. Colin, I got it 119.7, so he's about 3/10 better at that stage. So a very good climb up the hill by Colin Bond.
Well, a great deal will depend, I think, on the speed down Conrod Straight. Moffat's time, of course, was 159 miles an hour. We'll wait for Colin Bond and also watch his approach to this corner. Very, very smooth indeed. You saw Bob Morris go through earlier. And now the wide open spaces of Conrod Straight as Colin Bond, runner-up to Alan Moffat in last year's Hardie Ferrado, goes after pole position.
Lining it up for the radar check.
Here it comes as he crests the next hill. We'll have a readout. There it is, 159, so he's identical to Moffat.
And exactly 2 minutes at this stage.
So Alan Moffat and Colin Bond really vying for that pole position. Could it be that Colin Bond is going to knock the boss off pole position? We'll wait and see. Everything depends on this last corner, this last left-hander, and here comes Colin Bond. A good line in and a good line out. A good time to Colin Bond.
And he's done it 2:20.87, so he's beaten Moffat.
Well, Colin, you haven't been fast around there.
Oh dear, remember I backed the ruddy corner up.
I don't know that he actually blew it. It was quite good, but now Peter Brock, Holden dealer team.
This is the man who sat on pole position for the Hardie Ferrado 1000 last year. They all went round, set their fast times. Late in the day, out came Peter Brock. He's dominated and won the Australian Touring Car Championship this year and desperately wants pole position here today. Listen to that motor screaming as he goes up towards the mountain for the first time. The stopwatch is already on him, and here comes Peter Brock, one of the smoothest, one of the top drivers in Australia.
It's the smoothness that's going to count, I think. A very relaxed driver. Marginally quicker than Colin Bond on the way up, due, I think, to Colin's rather poor approach to the circuit. That set him back, but Brock made no mistake. He's fast up here. He's a little quicker up the hill. He may not quite have the pace of the big Fords down the straight, but Brocky is flying. Now, if he just dodges the little bit of a leap there, he has a little bit of a lift at the front, but the Fords were taking us a tighter line and punishing their cars. Not that for Peter Brock. He's following the smooth way all the way around. Up the top now, and I have him maybe marginally faster than Colin Bond at this stage, but it depends whether he can go as quickly down the mountain. But this is a very fast lap.
We'll wait and see through this particular section of the track. His exit from here, it's good. He's on the white line in good shape. And we'll watch him as he comes down through. Oh, he is really trying hard, picking a wheel up, going through here very, very neatly, very, very smoothly. Takes the back of the car out, no sideways motion. He's in good shape, and I think he's in for a very, very good time.
I think the $8,500 prize money for pole is secondary. It's the pole that Peter Brock wants.
Good exit from here, and he's on the straight. Better approach to that corner and better exit than a lot of the other drivers. And now down Conrod Straight and moves over to the left part of the track.
All the speed that he can possibly muster down here.
Here comes the radar trap time, 157 miles an hour. So he's 2 miles an hour slower in that particular section. So providing he has been faster up the top part of the circuit, it's going to be very, very close indeed for pole position. And he is really screaming down here to the final corner. Peter Brock, 05, Australian Touring Car Champion in the Marlborough Holden dealer team. Tirana, wait for the corner. It's a good line, and he's in good shape for a record.
To do it. Yes, 2:20.006.
Goodness gracious me, 2:20.006. What a finale to the qualifying, and there is your pole position man. That's 159 kilometres per hour average around this particular circuit. A great, great drive to Peter Brock. He did it last year, he's done it this year, and the man who possibly can break the 1-2 domination by Ford this year in the race.
Well, the fastest man ever around Bathurst in a touring car, and $8,250, which means the most.
I think everyone's fired up with the money angle, which is great, and therefore you know that you've beaten the opposition who are trying their hardest, so that does give you some sort of feeling of well-being. But quite frankly, race is on Sunday, and that's the way we're treating it. But look, I've driven a lot of cars around here, and that's by far the quickest touring car that I've ever driven, the best presented car, and I think hats off to John Shepherd really for giving us such a great car to drive. I mean, it's only up to us drivers now to get the car home. It's as quick, if not quicker, than any other cars on the circuit, as the lap time show.
Peter, it was noticeable that some of the drivers, when they came in, were looking absolutely wrung out, exhausted. You seemed to thrive on it. Your eyes were glowing. What's the difference?
Well, you get all fired up, and it's a bit of a challenge because you know that it's like a big game. Everyone's got one crack at it, and they've got to do their best, and then the weather's playing funny things, and a bit of water under the trees and things like that, a bit of a shower on the horizon, so you say, right, I've got to make this one the absolute best I can possibly do, and I don't know, I do thrive on a challenge, yes.
Well, all games have good prizes, and here's a spectacular one, and to present it to you, it's the General Manager of Hardie Frodo, Mr. George Hibbert.
Congratulations, Peter. It's marvellous to have you up here again. Second year in succession pole position.
Yes, George, yes, thanks.
Well, may I, on behalf of the Hardie group of companies, of which Hardie Frodo is a member, may I ask you to accept this very handsome trophy to commemorate this marvellous performance today? And let us sincerely hope that the good fortune stays with you tomorrow.
Thanks, George. I think this trophy looks like it might fly as fast as our Tirana, actually. Thank you. I hope we see you here on Sunday.
Good, thank you.
Righto.
So much for pole position. Peter Brock, $8,250 better. Kerry Luckins and Gary Wilkinson are here with us. Gary, you've got fastest qualifier for the 2 and 3 litre division.
It's Don Holland fastest qualifier in the 3 litre. That's in car 35, the Capri, and Peter Williamson fastest qualifier in the 2 litre in his Celica car 70. So they ran quite good times considering the wet conditions.
Well, we have fine weather now today and a good forecast for tomorrow's race, so we may see a dry Hardie Frodo after all, Kerry.
Yes, I think so, Mike, and it's going to be very, very fast, as we saw, something like 6 seconds under the lap record, and not that the cars will keep that up for the whole race, of course, but they're certainly going to be running the race at very much higher speed, with the obvious harder times being given to tyres and transmissions and, of course, the engines. So it's going to be a usual Hardie Frodo 1000. Anybody could win.
Kerry, Evan has reappeared from the presentation. I must ask you for your pick for tomorrow's race.
Well, Peter Brock is just so confident that it'd be very hard to go by. I mean, you can't discount Alan Moffat, so you must put those two together. But I've got a bit of a dark horse. I am terribly impressed with Derek Bell and Dieter Quester, the overseas drivers, in the second Ron Hodgson car. They are quite capable of being the first internationals to win here.
A Ford or a Holden?
I think maybe a Holden, but you know, I don't know.
It's very close.
Yeah, Ford on past reputation, yes. Holden on this year's record, so maybe it'll be a Holden year, but it is going to be a very, very close race.
Make sure you join us tomorrow morning, 5 to 8, right across Australia for the Hardie Frodo 1000, Australia's true great race. Over 70 drivers entered. Now it's down to the top 10 for pole position in Hardie's Heroes at Mount Panorama, Bathurst. An eyeball view from the driver's seat over the top of the mountain as the top 10 qualifiers run on the ragged edge in a bid to gain pole position for tomorrow's Hardie Frodo 1000 at Mount Panorama. Who will it be? Brock, Grice, Bond, Johnson, O'Brien, Moffat or Morris? Will it be a Tirana or a Ford? Stand by as Australia's top drivers go all out, all the way at Australia's toughest circuit, Mount Panorama.
Rain 1 minute, sunshine the next. The Mount Panorama track dry in places, wet and treacherous in others. They're the ingredients for today's Hardie's Heroes Top 10 qualifying program. At the moment, the sun is shining, but the confidence of most drivers has been shaken by these unpredictable conditions. The big guns are being briefed at the moment in the Hardie Frodo Tower. The draw for the order in which they'll run off for pole position becomes even more important in the light of these track conditions.
There'll be no reruns. The only rerun will be if there's a timing malfunction.
The draw is complete and the drivers are about to hit the track for their flying lap and a shot at almost $10,000 and the coveted #1 spot on the grid for the great race. We'll be back in a moment.
In this first section of practice, Moffat obviously going for an average of 100, but it was not to be. He tried his heart out. He's been trying all season, but lack of competition in the Touring Car Championship has probably made it even harder for Alan in this Hardie Frodo 1000.
The Moffat Fitzpatrick Falcon going through the first lap of their qualifying in a bid to grab the pole. The Federation Insurance Falcon. Moffat pushing it as hard as he can. The track, as we mentioned, wet, slippery in some places, dry in others, but they have to be satisfied with a 2:26.09.
Queensland, Dick Johnson, a man who has promised so much during the course of the season and probably the flag bearer for Ford during the course of the 1979 Australian Touring Car Championship Series. Running the Brian Burt Ford, he's a very, very aggressive driver. He's a driver who I don't think has really shown his best yet at Bathurst. The completion of the first lap.
And the time for Dick Johnson, 2:28.13.
Alan Grice in the Craven Mile Tirana, strongly up last year, and his recent form in the Sandown race showed that he is capable of being able to sprint, and he's also a stayer as well. But if he can run it half as well and half as reliably as Alan Grice, they're in the show with a big chance tomorrow.
Looks like the best time coming up so far to Alan Grice, 2:26.01.
Great time. Now, Bobby Morris, Australian Touring Car Champion, and the Ron Hodson Channel 7 Tirana. This car to be co-driven tomorrow by Dieter Quester, the Austrian who came out last year but unfortunately never got to race. Let's follow Morris through turn 1 in not bad shape and heading up Mountain Straight. Over the top of the mountain you can see all that loose dirt that is still there and is really causing the drivers a lot of concern. In some cases a lot of cardiac arrest. Not a bad line through that particular corner. Coming down to the right-hander in good shape. Not a bad lap here by Bobby Morris and the Ron Hodson Channel 7 car.
The AMSCAR winner, the Australian Touring Car Champion, can he go for the big treble here at Mount Panorama, the Hardie Frodo 1000, trying all out for pole position, which alone carries nearly $10,000 in prize money.
Very much sideways there coming out of the corner and heading down Conrod Straight for the completion of his first lap.
Looks like a good time coming up to Bobby Morris with 2:23.85.
It's been a sensation. A real surprise has been sprung on the field in the Peter Brock pit. The Holden dealer team manager John Shepherd has fitted new wheel covers. It really has the other teams a bit of a gog. Let's find out now from John Shepherd what these new discs are for. John, what's their purpose?
They're an aerodynamic device basically, Evan, and we hope they'll help our speed down the straight in this qualifying session.
How much difference will they make?
I don't know. It's an untried thing, but it's in percentages of drag, a figure of 4.6 comes down to 4, so it's theoretically it's quite a big help.
You're talking of several kilometres an hour then?
We would hope so, yeah.
How will you change the wheels?
You just undo that little button in the middle and the door opens. I can show you if you like. Yeah.
Well, there it is. John Shepherd's demon device to help Peter Brock try and gain pole position for the Hardie Frodo 1000.
Deals on wheels for team manager John Shepherd, but now it's time to put the pedal to the metal, and it's Peter Brock, the pole sitter from last year's 05 Marlborough Holden dealer team Tirana, in not bad shape through turn 1. Now heading up Dunlop Mountain Straight, heading up towards the top part of the circuit, and just how smooth is Peter Brock? This is the reason that's won Brock so many races, not the short sprinters, the long ones, the ones that matter, races like the Hardie Frodo 1000. Beautiful line through that corner, considering the condition of the track, which is anything but good. Over the top of the mountain, very, very seldom do you see Peter Brock get the car very, very much sideways. Beautiful to watch through this top part of the circuit.
Brock with something to prove too, because he's the king of the mountain. Pole winner here for the past 2 years, winner of the race last year, but Morris is the man that's been putting it all together this year. But this is a sensational time coming up, 2:21.21.
Peter Brock, 2 minutes, 21.21 seconds, fastest so time. Peter, is the 100-mile-an-hour lap possible?
Oh, I'm sure it is, Evan. The track is in dreadful condition. It's almost as quick as we're going last year, and honestly, I was just all over the road there.
Is it dangerous?
Oh, no, anything's dangerous as long as you don't read it and react correctly, but you just got to read the road surface and drive accordingly.
The contenders lurking in behind the pace being set by the Moffats and the Brocks and the Morrises. Gary Cook and Warwick Brown in the Citizen Watches Tirana, and Cook is gunning this car. He's out to get a good position on pole for this year's Hardie Frodo 1000.
A good driver indeed, and so too Charlie O'Brien, the big Queenslander, going through the top part of the mountain. Some had their problems, some got a little straight, whoops, some got a little sideways coming over the top of the mountain. But big Charlie really gunning the car sideways after a recent smash at Sandown and looking for a grid spot about the first 3 rows in the pack. And here's a fellow who is to have things running pretty strongly for him in the first practice session, but in the second practice session, Colin Bond was to strike trouble.
Cook's best time, 2:27.04. Charlie O'Brien had to be satisfied with a good time too, 2:24.57.
Notice Colin Bond on the Thompson forward entry, really bottoming as it came up the top part of the mountain through the corner, and he's lost gear. Something's gone wrong.
Well, let's find out from Colin what it is.
Well, Evan, I'm very disappointed because the car was going extremely well, and we put a different set of tyres on. I felt that we had the same tyre combination we were in last year, and we did a 20, but we had a gear linkage problem coming out of the cutting, and we just sat there until we found the gear, and it just wasted so much time. That's right.
Colin Bond not too happy there, and I don't blame him. Larry Perkins co-driving with Peter Jansen, of course, in so many of the races at Hardie for Odo, and of course the Sandown Classic. A very, very stylish driver, a driver of fantastic international experience, and looking very sharp indeed here as he takes the Cadbury Schweppes car up and over the top of the mountain.
2:27.57, their first time out today. Can they better it this time round? Coming up, Larry Perkins to take the flag. 2:26.21.
Oh, a good one too. Okay, some drivers had trouble-free runs. One driver who didn't was Dick Johnson. Dick Johnson, after getting it sideways in the first lap, goes chasing pickets. They weren't even to be found, but he managed to straighten up, very sideways fashion, heading up towards the top part of the mountain. And that has probably just taken almost a second off his time. Over the top here, let's see if he can get it straight through here. Oh, it's drifting out, but he manages to straighten it up, so he's caught up perhaps a little bit of time.
Gary Rogers now. Dick Johnson had to be satisfied because he got it wrong there in a couple of places with a 2:27.65. What can Rogers do?
Rogers in the Greater Pacific Finance car coming down for the completion of his lap.
He had a 2:31.36 before. It's now 2:25.91.
Although he qualified in that place. Alan Moffat, who was way down in 22nd, made the top 10. And John Harvey is saying you shouldn't be there, Alan.
Well, I guess that's his opinion. There was, in the supplementary regulations, as the organizers had discretionary 2 cars could be put in. And I think the whole idea of Hardie's Heroes is the people that are capable of trying to win $9,000 be in the race. And I'm not saying that John is not capable at all. He just didn't seem to make it any more than we did.
Well, a very pensive Alan Moffat leading into this, his final shot for pole position. Whether he should be in the top 10 or not, we'll leave that for others to decide. But Moffat is in good shape in the Federation Panel Fielder's Falcon over the top of the mountain and going for broke as only Moffat can.
Maybe Alan feels he's got to justify the fact that he's been included in the runoff for the pole position.
I don't know if that would really worry him. I doubt whether there are too many drivers who can handle Moffat around Mount Panorama, everything being equal, of course. They're not equal this year. There's a lot of Tiranas.
Moffat's best 2:24.27. It's not going to get him pole.
Alan Grice standing on the gas as he comes over the top of the mountain down through Castrol Curve in good shape, and I think that possibly the dark horse, for tomorrow's race. Not too much of that. That's easy to wipe out a set of tyres. Time coming up for Grice.
Looking good. 2:23.53.
The question, of course, is how will you handle Pete Brock up there in the turn?
Well, we'll only know that when the man drops the flag, I guess, but we'll certainly, we tend to get away fairly well with this car, and we want to run up at the front, at least for the first hour, till we get away from the guys behind who might tend to give you a little bit of a push or a shove. So I think it'll be a very interesting start, that's for sure.
Green flag at the ready, it's down, and now National Touring Car Champion Bobby Morris has this, his final chance for pole position.
First time round, he posted a 2:23.85. Of course, Brock is sitting on a 2:21.21. Morris has got to try and beat that.
Here's the car, looking good, beautifully prepared by Peter Malloy. Not too sideways. Bob tends sometimes to throw it around a bit too much sideways, but I think he realises he's got a long race tomorrow. He wants to sit, if he can, in the front row. Locking a break-up going through there, but over the top of the mountain, as you can see, looking pretty good. Handling the car well, it's doing everything that he wants, and I think Morris would be quite happy at this stage during his one-lap trial. A little sideways there, that's probably 3/100ths of a second gone off his time, so he'll really have to be chasing hard and he'll have to put in an exceptional lap speed down Conrod Straight to get pole position this year. But still looking good, and good to see him looking so competitive, particularly around this top part of the circuit. A little bit sideways there, but now on Conrod Straight, and now running down towards the completion of his lap.
And Bobby Morris certainly locks in second fastest time of 2:22.46.
The conditions were fairly treacherous out there. I tried reasonably hard without overextending the car because after all tomorrow's race day, and you know, we just want to be near the front of the grid.
One driver who qualified in the top 10 but isn't out there today is John Harvey, and he's pretty upset. John, what happened? You were 9th in practice.
Yes, I was 9th fastest and actually qualified in the top 10, although to be fair, the organisers have in their rules it was actually the fastest 8+2 at the discretion of the organisers. Now they saw fit to exercise their power and eliminate me to include both Bob Morris and Alan Moffat, who had in fact not gone quick enough to be included in the 10. I was very upset about it due to the fact that the reason that I was in 9th place was the fact that I was slipping around in the oil left by Alan Moffat's car.
So Moffat exploded, put oil on the track, slowed you down, you're out, and he's in.
That's right, yeah, and I wasn't very happy about that.
King of the Mountain last year and looking in good shape to be pole sitter this year. Peter Brock for the Marlborough Holden dealer team in 05 on this is one shot to set on pole position. His time at this stage in his first session is good enough to stand up.
Can you beat it?
I think he can. He's in good shape here, and the track has dried out considerably coming up the top part of the mountain. Look how smooth he is. The car's sitting beautifully, particularly those new wheel covers on coming up here. Oh, a little bit of trouble there, and it was very much sideways. But coming down for the completion of this, his final lap.
Well, 2:25.5. Believe it, that's the time and the pole time for Peter Brock. Let's go back over this lap again with Peter Brock telling us exactly how it felt to post that great time to take pole position.
Well, I think I got that little corner not too badly. Actually, I got out of there in second gear. And as I approached the flag marshal's point there now, she's really screaming. And I've just hit third gear. Now for this lap only, I've held third gear right up over the crest and down. And you can hear it absolutely screaming at about 7,000. Back to second. And I got this corner right this time. The last time, the wet I didn't quite, but she's really come out of there nicely. At about 6,000 revs in second, using all the road I can. And here's where I've made a giant mistake. Coming in miles too fast. You can see the car running wide and bouncing and leaping, almost hit the wall on the outside and almost stopped, put it back to first gear. My foot slipped off the brake pedal, as a matter of fact, mainly due to the very, very wet conditions in the pits, and I didn't have time to change my shoes. But from there on in, I really got this lap together fairly well, using all the road and not getting it out of shape. And I can assure you that it was very, very slippery, very treacherous indeed. Had to keep a very tight line through here, through McPhillamy, using all the road on the exit. And now the next bit's the bit where you really make the time up. If you can get over the top of that mountain quickly, using all the road, which it sort of was there, I think it was looking fairly good looking at it from here. But had to keep a very tight line through there, that little dipper, and go very close to the fence on the outside. But again, screaming it up in second gear. And you'll notice on the exit of this corner in Forest Elbow, I again ran very wide in the mud and slush, which is very hard to see, and almost hit that edge into the concrete barrier. Up to 7,000 revs down here at second, out of third at 7,000. I won't use those revs during a race. You can see the dust flying up from the back of the car there as I'm going very close to the edge. I always go very close to the left-hand side of the circuit down there to try to stop the wind affecting the car, to try to get maximum revs. In fact, I got about 6,500 revs in top, mainly due to the crosswind upsetting me. And here I braked at around about 350 yards, really stood on the brakes, hauled it back to third, back to second, and threw it into the corner. You can see the inside front wheel just popping a bit of smoke in the air, and coming out a little bit under the cam, but not too bad at all. And, well, it wasn't a bad lap, but I'd say it was about between 1 and 1.5 seconds, a lap slower than if the track was in good condition, and if I hadn't made a blue.
And so after the practice session, we have the top 10 on the 5th row, Colin Bond and Dick Johnson in Falcons. On the 4th row, Gary Cook and Larry Perkins in Tiranas. On the 3rd row, it's Gary Rogers and Charlie O'Brien, also in Tiranas. On the 2nd row, Alan Moffat and Alan Grice, a Falcon and a Tirana. And on the front row, Bob Morris and the man who is this year's Hardie hero, Peter Brock. Peter, You had some moments out there.
Yes, I did. The track was a little bit slippery, and the first run I selected top gear instead of second gear on the curve running up the end of the back straight, and then I got very wide coming through Forest Elbow. And in fact, I said to John Shepherd that I just bombed out on this run. I don't think it'll be very quick. And I got down the bottom. He said, "How does 21.2, Sandy?" I said, "Well, I don't know where I got the speed from, because obviously I've been driving wrongly all these years." And the second run, I think the boys at the Castrol cutting were almost running for cover. I arrived in there far too quickly and missed the brake pedal with my foot, and I stopped and put it back to first. I knew I had fastest time, but I thought, well, I'll just go for the 100-mile-an-hour lap. I reckon I lost about a second and a half doing it. I did a 20.55, so...
You would have made the 100-mile-an-hour lap?
I don't think I would have, but it would have been touch and go, and certainly would have opened things for a little bit of conjecture. The track isn't in very good condition. I'd say that's the second half 2 seconds lap slower than last year, mainly because of the rain overnight and all that dust and mud, really, that's on the circuit. And unless you follow where everyone else has driven, you're in big trouble.
Faster tomorrow and a very competitive race?
I don't know if we'll go any faster than that, but I think that the way the car was doing it on a track which was less than perfect, if the track conditions are good tomorrow and the weather shapes up nicely, I can see us running at around about those times for a lot of the race.
Phenomenal pace. Well, you've won $9,250, of which $5,000 is now to be presented to you on behalf of the James Hardie Industry Group. And Dick Johnson in Falcons. On the fourth row, Gary Cook and Larry Perkins in Tiranas. On the third row, it's Gary Rogers and Charlie O'Brien, also in Tiranas. On the second row, Alan Moffat and Alan Grice, a Falcon and a Tirana. And on the front row, Bob Morris and the man who is this year's Hardie hero, Peter Brock. Peter, you had some moments out there.
Yes, I did. The track was a little bit slippery, and the first run I selected top gear instead of second gear on the curve running up the end of the back straight, and then I got very wide coming through Forest Elbow. And in fact, I said to John Shepherd that I just bombed out on this run. I don't think it'll be very quick. And I got down the bottom. He said, "How does 21.2, Sandy?" I said, "Well, I don't know where I got the speed from, because obviously I've been driving wrongly all these years." And the second run, I think the boys at the Castrol cutting were almost running for cover. I arrived in there far too quickly and missed the brake pedal with my foot, and I stopped and put it back to first. I knew I had fastest time, but I thought, well, I'll just go for the 100-mile-an-hour lap. I reckon I lost about a second and a half doing it. I did a 20.55, so...
You would have made the 100-mile-an-hour lap?
I don't think I would have, but it would have been touch and go, and certainly would have opened things for a little bit of conjecture. The track isn't in very good condition. I'd say that's the second half 2 seconds lap slower than last year, mainly because of the rain overnight and all that dust and mud, really, that's on the circuit. And unless you follow where everyone else has driven, you're in big trouble.
Faster tomorrow and a very competitive race?
I don't know if we'll go any faster than that, but I think that the way the car was doing it on a track which was less than perfect, if the track conditions are good tomorrow and the weather shapes up nicely, I can see us running at around about those times for a lot of the race.
Phenomenal pace. Well, you've won $9,250, of which $5,000 is now to be presented to you on behalf of the James Hardie Industry Group by the General Manager of Hardie Feredo, Mr. George Hibbert.
Thank you. Congratulations, Peter, on a fine effort. Second year going, eh?
Third, yes.
Third year?
Yes.
Well, will you please accept from the James Hardie Industries Group that very nice trophy and also the cheque for $5,000.
Oh, great.
With very, very, very best wishes that you're up here tomorrow evening after the conclusion of the race.
Good afternoon, Australia, and welcome to Mount Panorama at Bathurst. And today, of course, the running of Hardie's Heroes, where the top 10 qualifiers from yesterday's practice get to run off against the clock for a chance at $9,000 and to sit on the pole for tomorrow's Hardie Feredo 1000. Let's take a look at the cast of the fast. Today, we'll run off in search of pole position. 10th fastest is 4 times Bathurst winner Alan Moffat in the Federation Insurance Unipart Falcon. 9th is Gary Rogers in the Fred Geisler Commodore, the car that finished second in the recent Sandown 400. 8th is Larry Perkins driving Peter Jansen's Cadbury Schweppes Commodore, and this is a team with a good finishing record here in the Hardie Feredo. 7th fastest yesterday at Mount Panorama was Alan Grice in the Craven Mile Commodore, number 6, a car certain to be driven right on the pace here today. Sixth fastest is John Harvey in the Marlborough 25 Commodore, the same car driven recently at Sandown by Alan Moffat. Fifth fastest to date is Queensland's no-nonsense racer Charlie O'Brien in the Roadways Deutsch Commodore. Fourth on the grid is four-time Hardy Ferodo winner and national champion Peter Brock in the Marlborough 05 Commodore, and the man everyone sees today is the Big Danger. Third fastest in practice is former national champion Bobby Morris of Sydney in the Channel 7 Breville XD Falcon, consistently the fastest man here all week. And joint fastest time yesterday belongs to one of motor racing's all-time favourites and a previous winner, Sydney's Kevin Bartlett in the Channel 9 Camaro. And sharing the same time, but first to set it yesterday, was popular Queenslander Dick Johnson in the Burt Ford True Blue XD Falcon. And so as the field follows around the pace car, and inside that pace car is John Cooper, the president of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and the man who tomorrow will give the starting command to the field. We'll be back in a moment with more of the exciting live action of Hardy's Heroes.
Alan Moffat, slowest of the 10, although nobody in the top 10 is slow, but it gives you first bite of the cherry in the runoff for pole.
Well, I should have a nice clean track in that respect, Gary, but I'm very happy to be in the top 10, and I owe it to my crew that got me here in 30 days, and my thanks go to them.
It's been a hassle about tyres for this runoff.
They're mumbling about qualifying tyres. There's more qualifying tyres behind us here than there is in a Formula One race, but we're on our race rubber, and whatever we can get, we'll go Goodyear all the way.
Well, talking about go Goodyear, it appears that Alan Moffat, first car out for qualifying today, has already run in foul of his own problems, and it looks like a flat tyre, and Moffat at this stage is struggling to get back to the pits. But at the moment, Gary Rogers is lined up, and he probably will be the first car to attempt qualifying. But the man who sells Goodyears has got a flat tyre.
Gary Rogers it is, first man out in car 16, the Greater Pacific Finance Commodore, to have first shot at pole position, first shot to become Hardy's hero.
Coming up to the end of pit straight, Rogers takes the car in nicely, sways it across the road, doesn't cut the grass over the top of the mountain. Running very strongly indeed. The car performed well with Rogers at the wheel at the Sandown 400, where they finished second to Peter Brock. And here he is coming over the top of the mountain, down now into the S's, and we'll follow his line. Back through the gears. Doesn't put a wheel up on the concrete strip. Nice throttle control through here, picks up the front wheel.
Coming around, let's get a time. It's not going to be a lot faster than he's been clocking. 2:27.452.
Alan Moffat, a man with tyre problems, has it all straightened out as he goes in search of pole position for the 1980 Hardy Ferodo 1000. Along pit straight, Moffat giving the car everything it's got. Watch his line through the first corner, down through the gears. Very precise driver, tail out a little bit as he heads off up Mountain Straight.
This is the car that'll be co-driven by John Fitzpatrick, a top English driver that's been here many times before. They've had some minor engine problems with the car, but by G. Moffat's got it roaring today.
Keeping in mind this car has been put together in less than 1 month. Alan Moffat, Federation Insurance Falcon, up over the top of the mountain now, heading up in car number 1. Beautiful line through here, and Moffat really has the pedal jammed all the way to the floor.
Smoke.
A wisp of smoke there as he goes over the top. Here he comes, and all those Ford fans are wide-eyed and bushy-tailed as Moffat comes off the mountain down into the hard area.
Using all the track, that's not a wisp of smoke either. It's becoming a bit of a cloud.
Hearing there the front spoiler just tapping on the ground as Moffat now onto Conrod Straight and all the way to the end to see if in fact he can set quick time.
Time's not going to be as quick as he'd like. It's 2:26.596.
Well, Alan Moffat, more than a second better than in practice yesterday. Was that because the car is better or because you were trying harder?
Oh, well, naturally, a little bit of both. Whenever you're going for a qualifying lap, you do your absolute best and probably take a few chances you wouldn't otherwise do, Evan. But the car's improved a little bit, but not as much as we wanted.
Next car on the racetrack is the Cadbury Schweppes entry, the Holden Commodore, to be driven in tomorrow's race by Peter Jansen and Larry Perkins. And it's Perkins at the wheel now and really taking it out against the guardrail as he heads up Mountain Straight.
Plan is that Jansen will start and hopefully finish the race tomorrow with Perkins driving the middle section, but it's Perkins that's trying for pole in this Hardy's Heroes.
He's a very fast driver indeed, is Perkins. Can drive anything, open wheeler, cross country.
Loves to use all the track and then some.
He's been enormously fast through this section of the track in the few days leading up to today's qualifying. Watch him as he comes down through this part of the course. Whoa, goodness me, like a demented dog through that area as he straightens up now. He really hasn't lifted off the throttle. He's going for a fast lap. Left-hander now. Back onto Conrod Straight. Larry Perkins and the Cadbury Schweppes Commodore.
Time is coming up. It's fast, 2.
Making his first visit to the Mount Panorama circuit at Bathurst for the Hardie Florida 1000 is the president of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway of the United States, Mr. John Cooper, here in the role of honored guest. John, there's a lot of excitement today. Road racing qualifying prevail, but for the Hardies heroes, I see a touch of Indianapolis.
Yes, Chris, this qualifying setup here is very similar to Indianapolis and really makes the race interesting, I think.
I think it lends a lot of excitement to the show. How about the Hardie Florida 1000, John? You looking forward to it, and do you see any parallels with Indianapolis?
There are some parallels. Indianapolis is our country's biggest race, and the Hardie Florida 1000 is obviously Australia's biggest race, and I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's race.
On the racetrack now, car number 6 is Alan Grice, the Craven Mile Commodore, about to take the green flag, and he's off and running.
And Alan Grice will be looking forward to tomorrow's race and to this shot at pole position because he's a man that loves to race. Here he comes, up to the left-hander. And up Mountain Straight goes Gricey.
It was most noticeable in practice here yesterday that Grice's car was bobbling in the turns. It appeared to be a little too rigid. But watch him across the top of the mountain. Here he comes, Alan Grice. Watch him through this part of the course. Notice the pitching. He'll be out to try and beat Larry Perkins' previous time.
Perkins, the fastest man so far, with a 2:25.505. Grice certainly going very quick. Very nice line, too.
Here he comes down to complete his lap.
Time for Alan Grice coming up. 2:23.650. Remarkable time.
Next car out. The Marlboro 25's entry with Johnny Harvey at the wheel. Takes the green flag. Now will Harvey keep the pressure up and take fast time away from Alan Grice. This is the car, of course, that was driven in the recent Sandown 400 by Alan Moffat. Moffat finished 4th in that event. This is the car, though, that was meant for Johnny Harvey. This circuit, of course, Mount Panorama, and Harvey knows it well. Engine sounds great as he comes up through the cutting. Now through the gears, touch of the brakes, gets it steadied, comes out of the corner in good shape, and he's really working hard at the wheel.
John Harvey, car 25, Marlboro Holden dealer team across the top of the mountain, going very quickly indeed. Knows the road so well, like most of the experience, right down there through the dipper. Beautiful line.
That was a nice line through there.
Very fast indeed. This is going to be a fast lap by John Harvey.
A very cool, calculated driver, John Harvey. And his time coming up as he heads back onto the straightaway to complete his lap.
2:23.005.
Look at the marks on the side of the tyre of John Harvey's car. You can see the uneven wear make. That's because he's been going terribly hard into the dipper, according to the tyre expert who was just speaking to him a moment ago. John, there are signs on the front of the tyre that you're trying desperately hard on that run.
Well, I think the signs on the tyre are absolutely correct. Well, you know, on these tyres, which are race tyres, it takes 2 or 3 laps to warm them up gently and gradually. That's what you should do. However, in this situation, that doesn't apply. I tried to warm them up as best I could on the warm-up lap, and then on the race lap, the qualifying lap, I just went for it, and I bounced it here and there. The car was sliding. I just stood on it.
Here's the man that they all want to see, Peter Brock in 05.
Well, Peter Brock has won every major distance race in Australia. National touring car title, I think, seems to belong on his mantelpiece permanently. He's a beautifully clean driver. We'll follow Peter Brock on his 1 lap against the clock. And is he trying up to the cutting? Oh, a little sideways coming out of there too as he straightens up. Brock is really trying hard.
Peter Brock, recent winner at Sandown for the 5th year running. Winner of the Hardie Frodo last year.
Well, he has to beat his teammates 2:23.005.
Brock, a man accustomed to sitting on pole position. Will he get it this year for the Hardie Verado? Very quick across the top of the mountain.
Very nice through that corner.
About 1:12 at the halfway point, so it's going to be a quick lap.
Really a good pressure driver is Peter Brock. He can always pull one out of the hat and take quick time away.
Here comes the time. And it's fast, 2:21.815.
Peter Brock, what happened on the top of the mountain?
Well, top was excellent. Getting up there, the tyres were a little bit cool. I did give them a lot of warm-up on the untimed part of it. Not much more than I normally would, and the track just looked a bit greasy to me, and also I thought the tyres weren't going to really get to operating temperature today because the ambient temperature's down a little. So the first right-hander I came to, Castrol Curve, very sideways, and the cutting absolutely sideways, and I lost a lot of time, but from there on in, it was spot on.
Will you go better next time out?
Could do, but I don't know.
On the racetrack, at the moment, Bobby Morris, fastest man at Bathurst this week in the Channel 7 Breville entry.
Well, Peter Brock has posted something for Bobby Morris to try and match. Oh, what a great shot.
And of course, our Channel 7 telecast each year of the Hardie Frodo 1000, we like to bring you something a little different. Last year it was Peter Williamson. This year, not only Peter Williamson back again with a camera car, but also Bobby Morris.
Channel 7 Breville Falcon. Bob's got his foot flat to the floor as he pushes it up Mountain Straight. He knows the time that Brock has set.
We certainly wouldn't bother Bobby for commentary at this stage of trying to sit on pole for tomorrow's big race, but we'll follow him across the top of the mountain. Oh, is that quick. Into the left-hander. Concrete wall just there on the inside as he straightens up, comes to the outside now, back across the circuit to get set as he comes down through the S's.
Touch over 1:12 at the halfway point.
Ooh. It's a busy mountain.
Hang on to the arm of your chair.
The left-hander, that'll bring him back onto Conrod Straight. Now you'll get an idea of the speed that the V8s can attain on the run down to the left-hander that brings them onto pit straight.
Over the crest. Come on down, Bobby Morris. Time coming up for Bob. It's going to be fast, 2:23.85.
Bob Morris, you seem to have a problem.
Well, I got top gear at the cutting instead of second, which was my own fault. But the throttle stuck flat momentarily down through the S's. Didn't jump back again, but it gave me a hell of a fright, I can tell you.
Here's car 10, Charlie O'Brien in the Roadways gown Hindau. Commodore, what sort of a time can Charlie put up?
Charlie's one of Australia's most forceful touring car drivers, a popular driver all the way from Queensland, and a very fast man always around Mount Panorama. Quick over the top of the mountain. And O'Brien looking for a starting spot in the top 6.
Time for Charlie O'Brien coming up to 24:038.
Kevin Bartlett was another driver who had a couple of anxious moments in the first section of practice.
I clipped the wall out of the cutting. Just went in a little fraction too hard.
What was that you had in your right hand when you came in the pits?
Our gear shift fell off coming down the straight. I poked it down there and grabbed it, and luckily the one gear I went for was second, and I got it. It really didn't hurt me very much. It lapsed my concentration for a little while, but it's all right.
Quiet man from Queensland, Dick Johnson in car 17, and this is the man the Ford Brigade are cheering for.
He's a very fast driver indeed. In fact, in yesterday's practice, it was Dick Johnson and Kevin Bartlett, inseparable in times, except fast time went to Dick Johnson because he was the first out there to set it. And he's a very tidy driver, uses all of the circuit, heads up Mountain Straight. Car has run beautifully in all its races so far, the CRC race at Amaroo Park. And Johnson is really looking forward to a great finish here tomorrow.
Dick Johnson and his crew can't believe the limited amount of work they've had to do on this car. They just keep taking it round, rolling it off the back of the trailer, and it races like a dream.
Here he comes Quite tidy there. Really stretching the engine as they work their way up to the top of the mountain. You'll see the shot of Johnson at speed in the Blue Falcon. The driver who would love dearly to sit on pole position for this race tomorrow, and he is really working hard at the wheel.
Tell you what, he's the quickest man to the top of the mountain so far in 1 minute 11.5.
Well, look at those Ford fans and a few Commodore fans on the top of the mountain as he drops it down off the mountain now.
It's going to depend on how quick he can come down here. This is going to be very fast.
Very, very quick indeed, and he's really keeping the pressure up, putting a ton of pressure on Peter Brock. Down through the gears, Conrod Straight comes up, pedal to the metal, and Dick is off and running for the green. At the end of the straight coming up, let's take a look for his time. He looks like he could be fast time so
yes,
far.
It's going to be a great time. 2 minutes 21.117. Well, at the moment, Dick Johnson looks like he could be the pole sitter. There's only one man that can knock him off, and this is him, Kevin Bartlett in the 9 Network Camaro.
Bartlett, who missed Sandown because he wanted to have the car perfectly prepared for the big one, tomorrow's Hardie Ferodo 1000, and the car has been a bullet in a straight line here, going up the mountain and coming back down Conrod Straight.
I don't think anybody's ever seen a car move as fast up this section of the course as this car of Bartlett's.
They had a tremendous problem with it yesterday. There's been a lot of side wind coming down Conrod, and the front of the car actually picked itself up off the ground coming over the last hump.
When they get down to Conrod, when Kevin gets there, you'll notice they all, like all the other drivers, they stick very far over to the left.
Of course, he had a mishap, as you saw earlier, in his first run against the clock. And this is the moment of truth. Can he take pole position away from Dick Johnson? Because Dick Johnson has it at the moment.
He's got to break 21 seconds, really, to get the pole off Johnson.
Well, practice times have come down from 2:28s, 27s, 23s, 21s. Here comes the 9 Network Camaro over the top. And a big car to be throwing around on this mountain. That's quite a handful of car.
3,400 pounds of car.
Tell you what, this is going to be a quick one. He really has the engine firing in the Camaro.
Quicker across the top than Dick Johnson by nearly half a second.
Well, he should be able to make up more on the straightaway. Here he is coming in to take the flag. Has he got pole position?
He has 2:20.972.
Well, I hope it's not Kevin Bartlett, because that puts you on pole position.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I really had to go that time.
Well, congratulations to you, Kevin. This is a whole lot better being in pole position this year than the way you were last year with your leg in plaster. On behalf of James Hardie Industries, congratulations and very best wishes for tomorrow.
Thank you very much, John, and thank you to the Hardie Group. They've done a tremendous job over the years with the Hardie Ferodo, of course, and we can't forget all of the other people. I won't mention them, any of them by name, because there are just too many that put together the Hardie Ferodo every single year, and looks like it's going to just continue and continue on to bigger and better things.
Well, there you have it. Pole position man for tomorrow's great race is Kevin Bartlett in the Channel 9 Camaro, and starting alongside of him on the grid will be Dick Johnson. In the second row, Peter Brock and John Harvey. Row 3, Alan Grice and Bob Morris, followed by the fourth row of Charlie O'Brien and Larry Perkins, and the fifth row, Alan Moffat and Gary Rogers. It's been an exciting Hardies Heroes, and we hope that you can join us tomorrow throughout Australia from 5 to 8 Eastern Standard Time for the great race. We look forward to your company then. Good afternoon, Australia, and welcome to Mount Panorama at Bathurst. Our program is called Hardies Heroes, and heroes being the operative word. I don't think they've had any rain at all in Bathurst area for many, many months, but it's fallen on the pole day qualifying sprints. We have 10 drivers today to battle out for pole position. Just who will sit on pole and win $9,500? We'll have to wait and see. You'll see during this program. Let's go now to Evan Green and our technical expert, John Shepherd, to review the problems with tyres and the drivers facing in qualifying today.
Thanks, Mike. I've been coming to Bathurst for 19 years and I don't know conditions have been as bad as this. John Shepherd, tyres are going to be crucial.
Very much so, Evan. You see here we have the dry tyres which people normally use, which are going to be absolutely useless today because there's so much water on the track. We have to use these very heavily grooved tyres that you see down there to drain the water off the tyre so they can get some grip, because as I say, those slicks will be absolutely hopeless today.
And different sorts of patterns being used. The drivers in two minds, I would think.
Yes, very much so. We've got a situation with tyre pattern, that's a Dunlop one which is very, very open, and we've got a Goodyear one and the Michelin one which is closer together and much different grooves and sipes in them, and very, very technical situation as far as tyres and construction today.
So a lot of uncertainty out there. Now to run you through the actual 10 starters, it's over to Gary Wilkinson.
The 10 qualifiers for the pole position runoff comprise 5 Commodores, those of Peter Brock, John Harvey, Peter Jansen, Gary Rogers and Garth Wigston. 2 Falcons, those of Dick Johnson and Bob Morris. 2 of the big American Camaros, Kevin Bartlett and Ron Dixon, and 1 Mazda RX-7, that of Alan Moffat. And the first car is on the track.
And the first driver out is Tasmanian Garth Wigston. As you can see, the conditions are absolutely deplorable. Yesterday in unofficial practice, Kevin Bartlett on 2:21 seconds. I don't think they'll get any near that today. Okay, Wigston going over the top part of the mount now, up through the cutting. Quite a haze there, and gets the tail a little sideways. But he certainly hasn't lifted off the throttle as he points it up towards the mountain.
Awful lot of water running off the embankments too across the track, as well as the falling rain. Oh, look at that!
Sideways. That'll wipe a second or two off his time, but Wigston comes down in the direction of Conrod Straight.
Still trying terribly hard into the corner.
Could be a quick time, this. No, it's not. He's got it sideways, but he'll finally cross with a 2:51.78 seconds.
Well, Garth Wigston, if it hadn't been for that spin right at the end, you would have made fastest time.
Yeah, unfortunately things were looking great until then too, but coming through the last one I just mustered a fraction, came through a little bit too quick, and that was the end of it. So at least I know how fast I can't get through there next time.
Winner of the recent CRC Chemicals race at Amaroo Park in Sydney is John Harvey, who of course is backup driver to Peter Brock in the Marlborough Holden dealer team in car number 25.
Taking the left-hander up the mountain and still taking it very carefully.
Harvey's a smooth driver. He certainly won't take any risks here. There's no point in bending a car in these deplorable conditions. The big money is on the race tomorrow, $100,000. Okay, down through the S's. How slow? Very gingerly down through there. And heading down onto Conrod Straight. John Harvey had a bad accident here several years ago in a sports car. Back running stronger than ever in the backup Marlborough Holden dealer team Commodore.
Now putting the power down the straight after taking it so very carefully across the top of the mountain. The right-hander into pit straight for John Harvey. And a time, 2 minutes, 46.03.
Australia's Formula One world champion Alan Jones and Warren Cullen. Well, Alan, you're taking a look at the qualifiers today. I think you probably would have planned on being in the top 10, but you haven't had what you call a very successful run so far.
No, that's correct, and I think under these conditions I'm probably just as happy to be standing here looking at them.
Warren, you've had some obvious problems with the 2 cars. How are things looking for tomorrow?
Well, they're looking a lot better now. We've opted to use our test car, which is a better handler, and we're putting our race engine into that. So our grid position is really not a problem at present. I think we'll be into the 23s or 24s, given some dry conditions to do it in. But the way the weather's looking at the moment, we're not so sure of that.
Alan, Bathurst, a fun circuit in the dry. Is it fun in the wet, do you think?
Well, I've yet to find that little pleasure out, I think, but I think it would be, well, yeah, fun's probably a good enough word.
Touring cars in your first run that you've had since you've been back home, allowing for all the problems that you've had with the team. Have you enjoyed it thus far?
Oh, immensely. I'm enjoying every minute of it. The atmosphere is tremendous, and I love the circuit, you know, and I'm very much looking forward to coming back.
This sort of rain, I suppose you'd be used to it in Europe.
This is like a good English summer's day,
yeah.
Making me homesick.
To make Carlos happy, do you think, the weather?
I think back up and go home.
Bitter cold and drenching rain. Here he is, Bob Morris in the Bob Jane 7 Falcon.
By Jingo meters. This is the combination that could be one to watch this year. John Fitzpatrick, who was co-winner here in the Hardie Classic in 1976, a brand spanking new race car, and they have hardly put a spanner on it since they brought it to Bathurst. And Morris giving it the gun.
And if it goes like this without work, it's going to be a real threat, and Bob is driving it to the limit under the conditions.
Okay, the open spaces of Conrod Straight, and standing on the gas is Bob Morris in colour 7.
Coming up with a time for Bob, 2 minutes, 42.67.
In 05. Rock on.
Fastest time so far, Bob. It looked pretty desperate, though.
I thought it was reasonably easy. I was trying not to be desperate because that's when you get out of shape. And all the way around I kept telling myself, be calm, be smooth, take it easy, which is what I did, and it felt good.
The rain is coming down, but so are the times. With that 42.67 from Bob Morris, can Brock beat it?
Peter Brock, of course, the man they say owns Mount Panorama. A mortgage on this race, and I would think very, very keen to set fastest qualifying time today. And our aerial shot, just look at the puddles of water as Brock heads on up the mountain. Over the top now, trying to squeegee all that water out, obviously on wet weather tyres and very, very treacherous conditions. Heading down through the S's, Peter Brock. Not only is Peter Brock fast, he is just so smooth.
Maintaining a great line, even under these conditions, shows what a remarkable driver this man is.
Okay, coming down on the approach to Conrod Straight. Tell you what, Gary, this is going to be a quick time. He is being so fast and so smooth over the entire racetrack.
I think he's going to edge Morris out here on times. Coming into the corner. Let's look at the clock. It's going to be 2 minutes 41.59.
Peter Brock, fastest time so far.
Was it really? I had no idea. Very slippery and very wet, and a bit of an exploratory lap in some respects, but well, that's rather pleasing, yeah.
You seem to have a lot of grip. In fact, watching you from the helicopter shot was like watching a speedboat going through water.
I was trying to keep the car very square to the road, Evan. I'm not trying to get too much attitude on it, and using up the car's potential to brake well and get the power down well, rather than sort of sliding through the corners. It was pretty desperate through Reed Park, and McPhillamy had the tail out a bit, actually.
Peter Brock, he should be good on water. In motor racing parlance, they say he can walk on it. Okay, coming in now, the man from Prudential, the man who gave the race a big shake last year, Dick Johnson, all the way from Queensland in the True Blue Falcon. Here he comes, heading on up the mountain.
Well, the circuit wasn't too kind to him in 1980. What about 81? Dick Johnson, the True Blue Queenslander, shooting for pole.
He's quick over the top of the circuit, about the same time, I think, as Brock.
Very close.
Okay, the tricky bit now with all the oil, all the water running across the road as he dips down onto the front straight away. And I tell you what, it's 178 mph all the way to the floor.
2 minutes at the top of Conrod, so he's going to be very close to Brock's time.
Okay, coming down through the gears. It's imperative he take this corner quietly. He has. Let's have a look at it. 2:41.56. He's quicker than Brock.
Now, Big Kev, Reverend Kev Bartlett in the Channel 9 Camaro, the man that took pole here last year in dry conditions. Big American sedan, heavy, four-wheel disc brakes this year. That could be an advantage, although in these conditions you've got to have everything going for you.
Certainly got to have the brakes. Okay, coming through the cutting. Oh, little bit sideways. Big Rev Kev stands on the gas and heads up. Look at him getting out onto the white line, going to really cut this corner. Does it nicely. Now onto the front straight. Okay, coming down Conrod Straight now, wipers going. And it's all the way to the floor for Kevin Bartlett in the National 9 Camaro. Coming out of the corner, looking good.
Oh, sensational time.
38.63, fastest man in the first round.
Fastest time, Kevin, 38.6.
Did we go quick enough, did we?
I think you did. It looked pretty quick. How did it feel?
Felt bloody quick, yeah. Yes, it felt all right. I can go a little quicker, actually.
Would you like to do it again in the wet?
Not really, but I'm professional. I've got to.
Now the Ron Dixon Camaro, a first run of 2:54.26. He must be able to better that time. Conditions have improved slightly, although it mightn't look like it from that.
Okay, Dixon and the barbecues galore. Camaro dropping down through the gears. Look at him heading down Conrod Straight, really running all the way to the floor. Dixon was the first driver out in the first round. We're now into the second round of qualifying. All drivers get 2 goes.
Time coming up, 2 minutes, 44.51. And now, Alan Moffat. And by gee, this RX-7 Mazda has created an enormous amount of interest, and Moffat is going fast.
So you've got to run a big Holden motor or a big Ford motor. Moffat's going to do it with the rotary. Okay, heading up. He's just so smooth around this track, and the car just sits beautifully. The aerodynamics of it work beautifully on the track. Peter Stuyvesant, Mazda, number 43, heading up the mountain. Moffat very, very determined. He, of course, has been giving a lot of way to the V8s, but the equaliser today is the weather. And if Moffat can turn in an exceptional time, that will move him up the grid for tomorrow's great race.
He's got to come in at about 2 minutes 40 if he wants to be up there mixing it with the Brocks and the Bartletts.
Okay, coming down, looking good. There's already a chant going up in the pits. It's a quick one. Here it comes. 2:39.4 for a quickie for Moffat.
You must be able to see now, Alan, because that was the second quickest time, 39.4.
Well, second good enough in any business isn't good enough, Ivan. Congratulations to whoever got faster. But it's pretty tricky out there at the moment, and it's certainly not worth crashing the car. We got a big race ahead of us tomorrow. But that's tremendous. I'm happy with the little thing.
The Jansen-Perkins Commodore with Larry Perkins at the wheel.
Okay, in the first run, they were 2:46.27. They will have to improve on that now that Moffat's down to a 2:39.44. Larry Perkins has driven just about everything. Open wheelers, and so they've got body. Whoa, he's got a little sideways getting off there. He's in good shape, and he washed a little bit of speed off.
Larry's got about 7 cars ahead of him on time so far, and look at Jansen intent. Come on, Larry, keep it on the track. Keep it safe, but keep it fast.
Okay, coming out of the turn. Yes, they are quicker. Out of the turn. 2 minutes 42.46. So that's a good one for Perkins.
Now Gary Rogers. His first run was 2:44.25, and again, he's going to have to improve on that to lift his position on the starting grid.
Okay, this is one of the best turned out Commodores, sponsored by the Launceston Hotel in Tasmania for our Tasmanian viewers. Okay, Gary Rogers down through the gears. Very, very quick man in the wet too. Okay, comes out of the corner.
Not afraid to give it a squirt and go close to the fence.
Not to move those tyres back, but he's looking in pretty good shape coming out of the turn at 2:41.31.
Now Roadways Garth Wigston on his way up the mountain once more. Let's try and avoid these spin-outs, please, Garth. He needs a good time.
Okay, he was out, as you saw, the first car out on the track. Looked like setting a pretty quick time, and then, of course, lost it at the bottom. Okay, he gets out of there in pretty good shape, heading down to the bottom corner at the end of Conrod. Garth Wigston for Tasmania. Here he comes down through the gears. Let's see if he can keep a good... Oh, it's a waltzing. No, I don't think he's doing it. Oh! He's got it around again, so Garth Wigston blows it in the last corner.
Disappointment for Garth. At 2:46.
Now, I know they have wet roads in Tasmania, Garth. So what's the excuse?
Oh, I locked up a back brake coming in, which put the thing almost sideways before I got into the final approach into the corner, and that put pay to it again, so I really muffed out badly twice in a row there.
Bobby Morris was one of the quick men in the first run with a 2:42.67. He's been surpassed now by about 4 others. He's got to improve quite a bit to maintain his position.
The fellow who's been the cat amongst the pigeons has been Moffat with a 2:39.44. That's looking good. Morris will have to beat this. Okay, heading down. Out of the curve. Looks pretty good. Pretty close to the wall there, though. On to Conrod Straight. And Bob Morris heading down for this, his final lap. Pretty good shape. Comes out.
Oh, it's going to be very quick indeed. He's not far behind Bartlett's time. It's a 2:39.34.
Second fastest, Bob, 39.33, with KB still to have a run.
Well, not quite the $10,000, but we're very happy.
Welcome back to Mount Panorama. Only 3 still to run against the clock, and it's the big boy, Peter Brock, the man who owns Bathurst, heading up, trying to beat the times that have been, well, his previous time that's already been betted, Bobby Morris and, of course, Alan Moffat. Okay, heads down through the S's, sideways there, but it's still raining very heavily indeed at the top of the mountain. So smooth indeed is Peter Brock. Looking for another win. His co-driver, of course, in the race tomorrow is going to be Jim Richards, who loves the rain, and Brock seems to be doing a good job in it himself.
There are 3 quicker times than Peter Brock so far. Bartlett, Moffat and Morris. He's got to post a good time here. Here it comes, 2 minutes, 39.04.
39.04, which makes you second fastest, but it looks as though it's getting heavier, the rain, up and down the mountain.
Yes, it was. I thought before that it might be a little bit better for us, that run over the mountain, but then it was the puddles were back and there was no dry line or no swept line, so perhaps they had the rain is sprinkling down on top of the mountain.
Well, we'll wait to see if this man can do it. He was quickest in the first round. Let's see, can he beat it in the second? Kevin Bartlett, the National 9 Camaro. Just look at that spray as he heads up Mountain Straight.
Well, Bartlett's first round time still stands as the fastest time, 2:38.63. I don't know whether he'd want to try and better that under these conditions.
He is running quicker. Look at this, and stretching the engine. Comes up, we'll see what the approach to this turn is like. He's in pretty good shape, sets it in. Little tail motion there as he comes out of the turn. But Kev's on the gas, here he comes. Listen to that engine revving as Kevin takes it out beyond the white line. The ragged edge, as they say, as Bartlett goes after pole position, wants to cement it and sit on pole for the great race tomorrow.
Pole winner last year. Can he make it 2 in a row? By gee, really gunning for it over the top of the mountain. Very quick indeed up to this point. Even faster, I think, at this point than he was on the first run.
This is the critical part of the circuit, down through the turns. You can get that big Camaro, the American Family Saloon, big Rev Kev out there in front. Taillights on through the turn. Here he comes. Now the approach here is critical. Gingerly through the turn. Wow, he's in good shape too. Look at the car starting to accelerate as he heads off down Conrod Straight.
Oh, the time at the top of Conrod is 1:57 plus, so he's going flat to the boards.
Well, he's got a time to beat if he can do it. Look at the spray coming up off the car as he heads down. Here he comes with our front view, down through the gears. Kev's got a brake this year. He's got 4-wheel discs. Down through the gears. This is going to be quick.
Oh, it's got to wrap it up for him, hasn't it?
2:36.43. He's done it.
Has he? Can Dick Johnson knock him off?
Wow, what a finish we've had today. Okay, coming on in to take the green, Dick Johnson, Prudential man.
Loves a challenge.
And there's not a rock in sight.
On the way up the mountain, Dick Johnson, he knows Bartlett's fast and he knows how fast at this point. And he's pushing as hard as he can go.
Okay, still aquaplaning a little bit over the top of the mountain, most of the cars. Johnson lifts the wheel up there. Doesn't take it out as wide as Bartlett did. Still very, very smooth indeed. Okay, coming across the top, uses about 3/4 of the track. Do you think there aren't some fans up there on the top of the mountain giving him a big cheer on, and forward flags everywhere? Here he comes. No, it's marginally slower.
Just a little.
38.81.
Well, Kevin, you're the fastest.
Yeah, well, I'm very grateful. I'm sure. I know the conditions out there were absolutely dreadful, and boy, there was no way that you can cast aspersions at anybody out there. Everybody that was out there, and I watched them all on the box, they were all having a go. And sorry to do it to you again this year, Dick. I really thought that you might have got it.
There's going to be no rocks this year, though, KB.
To make the presentation, it's my pleasure to introduce the chairman of James Hardies Industries, John Reid, who's to present it to the pole winner, again, Kevin Bartlett.
Well, congratulations, Kevin. It's been another great performance. Very different conditions this year, and the time was magnificent considering you had all the rain and the track conditions to contend with. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much, John. That does make a pair. I'd like to thank the guy who, incidentally, I found out wasn't in our pit crew, who told me that Johnny Harvey had done a 33 as I was going out. I had to pull a couple of braves to do it, but thank you very much. Evan was quite right. The 10 guys that were out there tried very, very hard, and the conditions, as everybody could see, were atrocious, very, very dangerous. I was aquaplaning, still doing 168 mile an hour, and I feel that I've earned my money today. I really feel that I've earned it.
And now it's back to Mike Raymond.
Well, there you have it, the top 10 for tomorrow's great race. Kevin Bartlett, pole position 2 years in a row in the Network 9 Camaro. And sharing the front row of the grid with him will be Dick Johnson, of course, in the True Blue Ford. Row 2 made up of Peter Brock, who'll be going for 4 wins in a row. And, of course, sharing that position on the grid with him will be Bobby Morris in the new Channel 7 Ford. The next row in the surprise, Alan Moffat from position 5 in the Mazda and Gary Rogers from 6. Then from 7 we have Larry Perkins. 8 is John Harvey, of course, in the second of the Marlborough Holden Dealer Team Commodores. Position 9, Ron Dixon in the Barbecues Galore Camaro. And for position 10, Tasmanian Garth Wigston. We look forward to your company. We certainly hope the weather's better tomorrow, but join us 5 to 8 across Australia. 150 personnel from the 7 network, 23 cameras to bring you the great race. The James Hardie 1000. We look forward to your company then. Good afternoon, Australia, and welcome to Mount Panorama at Bathurst. Well, it's a big occasion, the running of the 1982 series of Hardies Heroes. This is the contest that puts the top 10 qualifiers thus far against the clock one more time. The rewards, well, they're quite substantial. $10,000 will go to the pole sitter in today's challenge. Let's take a look now at the qualifiers who make up Hardies Heroes. Car number 4, the Recar Commodore with Alan Grice, the new 100 miles an hour touring car lap record holder here at Mount Panorama. His co-driver will be Alan Brown for the big race. Car number 05, the Marlborough Holden Dealer Team Commodore, Peter Brock, the driver in qualifying. His co-driver is Larry Perkins. Car 43, Alan Moffat in the Peter Stuyvesant Mazda RX-7. Car number 25, the second of the Marlborough Holden Dealer Team Commodores with John Harvey at the wheel today. His co-driver tomorrow is Gary Scott. In car number 17 from Queensland, reliable Dick Johnson, who won last year's accident-shortened event. He'll be driving the Palmer Prudential XE Falcon. And the real surprise, car number 55, George Fury in the first of the Nissan Turbos. In car number 9, Kevin Bartlett, pole sitter for the past 2 years in the 9 Sports Camaro. In car number 16, Gary Rogers, who drives the Recar Commodore. And rounding off the top 10 qualifiers so far, Bob Morris in the 7 Seiko Falcon. Well, there you have the qualifiers that are about ready to run off against the clock. Let's check out track conditions now with Gary Wilkinson.
Thank you, Mike. Boy, conditions are sensational for this year's shootout for the top 10 in Hardies Heroes. In contrast to past years when it always seemed to rain on Hardies Heroes, it's a fantastic day here on Mount Panorama. The track is in lightning fast condition. You'll remember last year Kevin Bartlett had to slosh his way around the mountain in the big 9 Chevy Camaro to take pole position. He won't have that problem today. There are other problems on the circuit though. It is lightning fast. Parts of it are very tricky, including the notorious McPhillamy Park. That's where the big pile-up last year stopped the race completely. There have been a number of incidents in qualifying here already this year, and yesterday there was a major accident involving the Alfa Romeo GTV in which Sydney driver Gary Leggett was seriously hurt. The drivers today are going to have to watch that section particularly. We'll be back in just a moment with the shootout for the 1982 Hardies Heroes. And here's the first of the 1982 Hardies Heroes, Masahiro Hasimi from Japan in the first of the Nissan Bluebirds.
He'll have 2 laps, one now, one later on. He was here last year, Hasimi, when these Turbo Bluebirds were new. He retired with electrical trouble, but he is a very, very fast driver. Has a touch of the kamikaze about him. Look how he's weaving that car on the climb up the mountain, going terribly hard. Just to indicate how much improvement has been made by these cars, his time last year and this year are separated by 14.7 seconds. In other words, he has improved by nearly 15 seconds in his lap times, and he is flying in the turbocharged Bluebird, flinging it tail first into the bend, up the mountain, up towards the park area now. This is where it's quick, this is where it's hazardous. We'll see how brave this man is as he comes up the top of the mountain.
Well, on practice time so far, the pole sitter in this year's race is going to have to do somewhere around the 2:18 mark, maybe even under that. So let's see what Masahiro can do as he comes around to take the checkered flag. The time going at 2:18.8.
Thank you.
Okay. John Harvey now, number 25, the second of the Marlborough Holden Dealer Team Commodores, about to take the green flag, and Harvey is off and running. A fellow who has been to Bathurst for many years, hasn't struck the best of luck here, but very, very quick in practice yesterday, going through the cutting. They're heading up towards the top of the mountain, and Harvey really stretching that V8 engine as he works up towards McPhillamy Park.
man who often stands in the shadow of Peter Brock, but by gee, he doesn't need to when he gets out on the track, because Harvey's got all the ability. Watch him down through there, wheel up, going tremendously fast now.
Tremendous atmosphere here today for Hardies Heroes, one of the biggest ever crowds for qualifying. The open spaces now of Conrod Straight. Harvey through the turn, and here he comes to complete his lap.
Coming around to take the flag, the time coming up. Great, it's 2:19.8 seconds.
Just marginally slower than yesterday, but let's face it, 2 seconds under the lap record. It looked very smooth, John.
Yeah, I was pretty pleased about it. Yeah, I was quite happy with that. I normally take 2 or 3 laps to get my eye in, so I'm quite happy with that under the circumstances.
Are you a driver who doesn't like to go hard in one banzai lap?
Absolutely, yeah. Unless I've done about 3 or 4 to really get my eye in, I just can't do it in one lap. But I'm happy with that time.
Car 55, this is George Fury in the second of the Nissan Bluebirds.
A 4-cylinder engine, turbocharged, could be the way of the future, developing around 300 horsepower. George, former Australian rally champion, turned to racing 18 months ago, has been one of the sensations here at Bathurst. Could be a long shot for victory. Let's see how he goes on this practice lap.
Plenty of talent, plenty of experience between himself and co-driver Fred Gibson. These cars really going tremendously. Turbo wound up, zipping down Conrod Straight. The time's going to be pretty good. They're going to go very close to best time at this point. Over the line, the checkered flag in 2:20.6.
Now the cat amongst the pigeons. Alan Moffat, the Peter Stuyvesant Mazda RX-7, off and running. Really had it wound up tight here yesterday. Uncorked a real speed blast over the top of the mountain. Down through the gears, driving it very steadily, very precisely as Moffat uses all of the racetrack there as he works his way up towards Mountain Straight to the cutting. Revs really working as Moffat now heads to try and better his time of yesterday and start perhaps towards the front of the field. Really shaving the turn there through McPhillamy Park. And Moffat is really trying.
He is taking superb lines, doesn't quite have the power of the V8, but tries to make up around the bends. Watch him down through the S's. He's won this race 4 times. He'd love to make it a 5th time and share that record with his arch rival, Peter Brock.
Here comes Moffat down to the bottom into Murray's corner, takes the left-hander, clock ticking over. It's not going to be as fast as he'd like. 2:19.7.
Alan, there it is on the right hand on the bottom. A bit better. Pleased?
Well, you're never pleased when you're not up as far as you'd like to be, Chris, but I think under the circumstances it shows my time yesterday, my good time yesterday obviously had the benefit of a tow, and with such a little engine it is a very long straight. I just couldn't seem to get her coming down the hill fast enough today.
The true blue Queenslander Dick Johnson, last year's race winner.
The XE Falcon, here comes Johnson to the first turn. A lot of the drivers have been having some handling problems, the rear ends of the forwards here during qualifying today and certainly during yesterday's practice. Johnson taking it through the cutting area very, very quickly indeed. Bit of tail wag there as he comes out of the turn. The rev range, the tachometer really working here as he shaves the wall. Watch his line through this part of the circuit. He's extremely fast here.
Johnson, in fact, was 1.2 seconds faster than he's ever been around Bathurst yesterday. Let's see how he goes on this lap.
Big hope for pole position last year. Didn't make it. That went to Kev Bartlett. He's already feeling the pinch at the moment.
Quick time for Johnson coming up here, I think. Taking the corner now. Here comes the checkered flag, about to go out. Fingers on the stopwatch at 2:19.5.
How did it feel with the rear wing tightened down?
Well, didn't feel any different, Evan. Actually, I think that rear spoiler is about as useless as an ashtray on a motorbike because you can move it up, move it down, take it off. I don't think it'll make much difference. All it does is slow you down.
Bobby Morris, the Seiko's 7 Ford. Morris, of course, last year was involved in that accident that halted the James Hardie 1000 Classic. He's back now with a new car. Oh, won't have it around too long if he throws the tail like that, but Morris trying very, very hard indeed as he works the Ford up to the top of the mountain.
There's not a driver that tries harder than Bobby Morris. He certainly knows how to throw the car around the circuit, and it's literally what he's doing at the moment to match these incredibly fast times that are being posted at Mount Panorama. Oh, my gee, careful, Bobby. Enormous times being posted here at Mount Panorama in the 1982 Hardies Heroes, and Bob Morris out to match them and better them if he can for that $10,000 that goes with pole position. Coming around now, and it is quick too. 2 minutes, 19.3.
Well, did that seem faster or slower?
Oh, that was a little bit faster. I know it was faster because they rang me up and told me.
9/10 of a second quicker.
Yes, well, it's probably the first time I've really had a go, and we're just starting to use the brakes, and I think we can be very competitive in this race.
Gary Rogers, second of the Recar Commodores, will drive this car tomorrow with Queensland's Ron Wanless, another of the drivers that were taken out in last year's wreck and working the Commodore very hard. The Recar team is a very competitive team here at Bathurst this year.
Both Ron Wanless and Gary Rogers particularly have improved considerably. Gary's been around a long time, but in the last 18 months he's made enormous strides. He's now must be considered one of the real chances of victory. Quite on the par with people like Alan Grice and Peter Brock and John Harvey.
Very aggressive driver, Gary Rogers, throwing the car around the circuit now, coming down into the bottom at Murray's Corner, and this time is going to be very quick indeed. 2 minutes 19.2, and now
Kevin
Bartlett.
Looking for 3 pole spots in 3 years. Big Rev Kev in the 9 Sports Camaro working up Mountain Straight.
On Wednesday, though, Colin Bond taking the car out for a preliminary run, had the suspension break, crashed heavily. They lost 1 day in rebuilding the car. Kevin driving it yesterday. I said, what's the car like? He looked at me, he said, bloody awful. There's a brave man out there going as hard as he can.
Trying every inch of the way, Kevin Bartlett. This is where he can make up some ground now on Conrod Straight, but I don't know if he's going to be quick enough.
I tell you what, it's not too bad. Bartlett coming down to the bottom of the straight now, and he's going to have a quick time. It's going to be an 18 plus to 18.9.
Great effort, but this is the year you don't win the $10,000. Yes, it looks like it, doesn't it? I might have to go to the bank manager when I get home. I'm happy to be a little bit quicker than what I was. I was quite disappointed in the first run.
How do you feel when you've wound yourself up in a car that isn't handling properly and goes so quickly, but you're still not on the front row?
Yes, it's the race is tomorrow, really, Evan, and I'd love to have pole, I really would, but twice in a year, I suppose I was getting greedy, wasn't I?
Oh, here's Hassimi again, and he's got trouble. Oh, big trouble in the Nissan Bluebird on top of the mountain. He's going to have to be satisfied with that 2:18.8 because he's not going to get a quicker time.
Well, I think they've turned the wick up and paid the penalty.
Yes, they've blown a turbo. Not a real problem. They'll be in the race tomorrow, but that's it as far as today's concerned. But what a fast driver.
Oh, here's a fast driver indeed.
Here's the man yesterday who really socked it to Alan Grice, the man who is seen probably as a co-favourite to grab pole position. He knows his way around Mount Panorama, and we speak, of course, of Peter Brock in the 05 car. Very, very fast through this part of the course. And, of course, for viewers across Australia, don't forget tomorrow, Race Cam. The in-car camera coverage will be provided in 2 cars, one of which will be Peter Brock.
Fastest man so far has been Hassimi, the Japanese driver. Oh, look at this stuff from Brock. Oh, geez, really having to fight that car, isn't he?
If you think drivers get it easy trying to qualify and win $10,000, look at Brock working away there as we get the race cam pictures. Almost off the road at the top of the mountain. Brock catches it again. I think that will cost him in time. Really throwing this car around. Brocky looking for pole position. He's only got 1 straight to pull it off now. And here he is coming down Conrod Straight.
Inside the car with Peter Brock. Down to Conrod at the bottom. Takes the left-hander and it's under 18. It's at 2:17.8 seconds.
You look very busy in the car. We're watching with the camera.
I think the tyres had gone off. I think they were past their peak, Evan, and they just wouldn't put the power down they would on an earlier run.
At the higher speeds, Peter, how tired are you going to be during the race?
Very.
So Brock is the quick man. Can Alan Grice beat the time?
Gricey, the Recar Commodore, the man who has a lot to prove to a few teams he was associated with in the past, really trying to get pole position. The first man yesterday to clock 100 miles an hour lap here at Mount Panorama. That netted him $5,000. If he can pull another good one today and get pole position, there's another $10,000.
It's been a great year for Alan Grice. Has a lot to prove. Very fast. Has been considered a bit of an aggressive and maybe unreliable driver in the past by some. He's out to prove that they were all wrong. And he's doing it in the best possible way. Under 100 miles an hour yesterday, the first man ever to do it. And oh, he is going fast. But he's smooth. You watch this line up the top of the mountain. This is desperate stuff up here. They go terrifically fast.
At the top, he's just as quick as Brock. It's going to be touch and go.
Taking a good line, Gary. Look at the way he comes down here through the S's. Not damaging the car. Watch him drop the wheel.
Brock, the quick man so far, with a 2:17.8. Can Grice beat it?
He's very precise in his cornering, and a big crowd up on the mountain giving plenty of support to Alan Grice, and he has an enormous crowd along pit straight cheering him on also. Conrod Straight, the final time for the man who's looking for pole position, Alan Grice and the Recar Commodore.
Down in the Grice pit, they're all watching the stopwatches, and I bet you Grice is going to have his eye on the clock too as he comes around Murray's corner. We've all got our eye on the clock. Is he going to do it? It's going to be very close. 2:17.5.
He's done it. Gricey has got pole position.
Well done, Gricey. Thanks, mate. Bloody good stuff. I saw it on TV. Look good.
Gricey, I think you're a ham as well as a race driver. You saved the best for last. Look at those numbers there.
Yeah, that'd do the job.
What made the difference?
I was a little bit cautious in the first one. I didn't want to throw the car away. Because we've won everything so far. We want to win the race tomorrow. But I just had a bit more of a go.
$5,000 yesterday, $10,000 today. How are you going to celebrate?
We're going to win tomorrow. That'll be a good celebration.
By Australian businessman Alan Brown, who put up $5,000 for the first man to break the 100-mile-an-hour lap here at Bathurst. And who broke it? His co-driver, Alan Grice. Now, I want to know about the finances, Alan. Did you make money or save money with this?
Well, actually, I'm still trying to work it out. I'm not too sure what to do here. It was put up in all good faith. In fact, I even congratulated Peter Brock because I thought he'd won it. But the officials told us we won it, and I was quite happy. But I guess it'll sort of go from one bank account to another, and we'll all get a little bit out of it somewhere along the line.
Where I come from, the car owner gets some of the money the driver makes. You're going to take some back from Alan? You're going to give him all the $5,000?
Oh, we just work out. We'll see what happens later on.
Let's now recap the top 10 driver combinations following today's $10,000 Hardies Heroes and looking ahead to tomorrow's great race. Pole position and a happy man, Alan Grice and the Recar Commodore number 4. The car will be co-raced tomorrow by Alan Brown. Position number 2, Peter Brock and the Marlborough Holden Dealer Team Commodore SS. His co-driver for the big race will be Larry Perkins. The second row, position number 3, the Japanese combination of Masahiro Hasimi and Hoshino. They'll be driving the Turbo Nissan. Position number 4, twice pole sitter Kevin Bartlett in the 9 Sports Camaro. His co-driver tomorrow will be Colin Bond. Row 3 from position 5, the second of the Recar Commodores with Gary Rogers and Queensland's Ron Wanless at the wheel. Position number 6, Bobby Morris and John Fitzpatrick, former winners of the Classic. They'll be racing the 7 Seiko Ford XE Falcon. For position number 7, the defending champions from Queensland, Dick Johnson and John French in the True Blue Falcon. Position number 8, the Peter Stuyvesant Mazda RX-7, to be driven tomorrow by Alan Moffat and Yoshimi Katayama. Position 9, the second of the Marlborough Dealer Team Commodore V8s, to be driven tomorrow by John Harvey and Gary Scott. And position number 10, it goes to George Fury and Bathurst veteran Fred Gibson in the Nissan Turbo. There you have the top 10 qualifiers for tomorrow's great race.
What sort of man is it who can wind himself up to produce one devastating final lap to claim the Hardies trophy, $10,000, and put himself on pole position for the James Hardie 1000 tomorrow? Well, let's ask the man himself, Alan Grice. Alan, how did you do it?
Well, it's the motor car, really. If you haven't got a car that's as quick and as easy to drive as that one, it's a great, significant, it's a very great example of a motor car built by a lot of people over a lot of time to do a particular job, and it's done it. And the trick now is to carry on and do it again tomorrow.
Yes, but you still had to go out there and do a 100-mile-an-hour lap, something that hadn't been done until yesterday, knowing you had to pull that sort of time to beat Peter Brock. That must rest on your mind when you go out there.
Yes, but it comes under the heading of pressure, and I lived under that for 2 years in another situation, and I'm benefiting from the relaxation of this team. And my driving has improved enormously because of it.
Well, Mr. John Reid, the chairman of James Hardie's Industries, is here with the trophy to present it to you. Alan Grice, Mr. Reid.
Well done, Alan. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir, and thank you very much for your company's involvement in motor racing. It's not only appreciated by the drivers and mechanics, but everybody that's here. Thank you, sir.
Good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Alan Grice, then, is the Hardies hero for 1982. A magnificent drive, Alan. Can you win the race?
We came here to win it, Evan. We'll win it.
Those early laps, what are they going to be like?
There'll be 19s with full load of gas, and it'll settle down to 20s.
And who will be the cars all around you?
I won't be looking. Brock will certainly be there. Moffat will be there later in the day. During each fuel load, he'll catch us towards the end of the tanks of gas. I think it's going to be one of the best motor races, one of the best Bathursts that we've ever seen, because the cars are so equal. And don't forget my old mate Dirty Dick Johnson, who'll be lurking in the background.
The most open races for years, or the race rather for years.
Yeah.
And the one where you could see a change in the fortunes of Alan Grice.
I hope so. Thank you.
Back to you now, Mike Raymond.
Thank you, Evan Green. Well, there you have it. Alan Grice sits on pole for tomorrow's James Hardie 1000 Classic here at Mount Panorama at Bathurst. Financially, it's been a fairly good 2 days for Alan Grice, picking up $5,000 yesterday and 10 big ones today. Make sure you join us across Australia, 7:55 Eastern Australian time tomorrow morning for the 1982 Great Race.
Welcome to Mount Panorama, Bathurst. This is the duel on the mountain. Hardies Heroes to decide pole position winner for the great race, the James Hardie 1000 of 1983. Hardies Heroes comprises 10 cars, the 10 fastest qualifiers so far. Which of them will get pole position remains to be seen as they run off against the clock. Who are the top 10 so far? Here's Mike Raymond.
Thank you, Gary Wilkinson. Well, 7 Commodores, 1 Falcon, 1 BMW and 1 Nissan Turbo make up the top 10 for qualifying for the James Hardie 1000. Let's take a look now at the qualifiers and the cars you'll be seeing in action. Heading the Commodore contingent is 6 times Bathurst winner Peter Brock and the Marlborough Holden dealer team Commodore car number 05. From Queensland, Dick Johnson in car number 17, the Palmer Prudential Falcon XE. Car number 15 is George Fury in the Nissan Turbo, while car number 31, Jim Richards in the John Player BMW. Car number 6, Alan Grice, pole sitter last year in the STP Commodore. In car number 3 from Tasmania, David Parsons in the Cadbury Schweppes Commodore. Car number 25, John Harvey in the second of the Marlborough Holden dealer team Commodores. Car number 22 is Warren Cullen in the Cullen Automotive Industries Commodore V8. Car number 11 is Gary Rogers of Victoria in the Soundwave Discos Commodore. And rounding off the top 10, surprise qualifier Bob Morris in the John Sands Commodore car number 4. There you have the top 10. There's a couple of big names missing, and for details about that, here's Evan Green.
Thanks, Mike. Well, these are the drivers who've made it for Hardies Heroes, but the big news among those missing are the Mazda RX-7 drivers. There are none of them. No Terry Shield, no Greg Hansford, no Barry Jones, and above all else, there's no Alan Moffat. These fellas behind me reckon that Moffat is foxing, and that in the race he could still win. Whatever the truth of the matter is, Moffat is not among the top 10 starters. He could do no better than 14th in practice yesterday. The outstanding driver is Bob Morris, who qualified 10th, hadn't driven for 12 months, was given the drive in place of Alan Brown in car 4, the rusty French Commodore, and qualified a blistering time to give him 10th place. The best that French could do was 35th, so watch Bobby Morris.
Here comes a man who's got him talking at Mount Panorama this year. That's Bobby Morris at the wheel of the John Sands Commodore number 4. Surprise, surprise.
Taking the green flag and on his timed lap now, Bob Morris, the man who has been out of motor racing for well over a year, was in the lineup for last year's James Hardie 1000 until co-driver John Fitzpatrick put the Ford into the wall during a late session. Commodore running sweetly. Bobby Morris, a former winner of the Hardie Classic here at Mount Panorama, lining up in a Commodore.
Speaks volumes for the man's ability that this is his first drive in a race car for a year. Just step and go out on this most testing of... The left-hander at Murray's corner. The flag is about to go out for Bobby Morris at the end of this lap. How quick will he be? It's not going to get him pole position, Bobby Morris. A 2:21.18. It's terribly fast, but I'm afraid he's going to have to wait another day to carry off the pole position prize.
Well, Bob Morris, it's a hard way to make a comeback to motor racing.
It certainly is, Evan. I'm still trying to settle into the car, but it's a very good car. And you can tell it's a recar prepared car though.
Underway, Gary Rogers and the Soundwave Discos Commodore V8. One of 7 Commodores lining up in Hardies Heroes here at Mount Panorama today.
Big reputation, Gary Rogers, as a hard charger, a man who knows how to drive right on the limit.
38 years of age, Gary Rogers from Melbourne has driven touring cars and of course sports sedans. One of Australia's most accomplished touring car drivers, and likes this particular racetrack. Still claims 1981 was the year of disappointment for him. Of course, Gary was involved in that huge crash that occurred at the top of Mount Panorama. Running strongly, Gary Rogers, the Soundwave Discos V8 Commodore. Right, back to the inside. Watch the car pick up the front wheel. Hear the front spoiler just tap the ground there as Rogers works hard through this particular part of the course.
Absolutely fearless, this man. Right at home in big cars with a ton of power under him.
Down through the gears, Gary Rogers coming in for the completion of his one-lap trial. Checker flag at the ready, and Gary Rogers goes across.
The clock says 2:18.64 for Gary Rogers. We'll find out how he feels about that as he speaks with Evan Green.
Gary Rogers, 18.64, 4th best. Are you happy?
Well, Evan, I am happy, yes. Obviously, you always like to do a bit better, but it was a second quicker than our first run. And I think, had we tried any harder, well, there's a race to be run tomorrow, and I think we've got to remember that.
Young man at the wheel, David Parsons from Tasmania in car number 3, the Commodore that he co-drives with Peter Jansen, takes the green flag and goes through on his flying lap in Hardies Heroes.
23 years of age from Sheffield in Tasmania, David Parsons co-driving with Peter Jansen in the great race tomorrow. A little bit out of shape as he comes through there, now heads up Mountain Straight. Would have to be Australia's fastest dairy farmer. Through GTX Bend. Nice line through that corner. Now this huge climb to the top of Mount Panorama. Parsons coming up now to the cutting. Good line through there. Brings him out wide though. Good shape though. Tweaks the end just a little bit as they hit that bump coming out of the corner and heading up now to the top of the mountain.
Most unassuming young man. You'd never pick him as a race car driver, especially not in these big thoroughbreds, because they can be hard to handle around this mountain circuit, but Parsons takes it all in his stride.
Oh, he went wide that time, caught it back in again. Placed 4th last year with Peter Jansen in the Commodore. In the top 10 easily this year. Picking up the front wheel. Hear the spoiler just scrape there as he brings the Cadbury Schweppes car across the top of Mount Panorama. Oh, out of there, tyres squealing out towards the wall. This is going to be a very fast lap indeed.
Time ticking away. Parsons comes round, the flag is out over the finish line for his quick lap in Hardies Heroes.
And here he comes, 2:18.21 seconds for David Parsons, heading down towards Evan Green.
Well, how does a young fella feel to be so far 3rd fastest on the grid?
Well, it's a bit of a shock to me, I tell you. Still not as quick as yesterday. I feel that there's still more in the car, but I'm a little bit nervous and lot of pressure on me, first time to do this sort of thing.
Coming in to take the green flag now in the Marlborough dealer team, Commodore number 25 is John Harvey, one of Australia's most experienced drivers. Quite a few of the teams have had problems getting one car into the top 10. But the dealer team, they've got the two, Peter Brock and John Harvey.
Harvey, a man often overlooked, tends to stand in the shadow of Peter Brock, but by gee, he is just such an accomplished driver.
Last year's James Hardie 1000 Classic made the top 10 last year in qualifying. Doing a good job as he comes up to the cutting. Dab of the brakes, went out very wide that time. Very fast line through this corner. Heading up towards Castrol Curve, John Harvey, number 25.
Smooth as silk on top of Mount Panorama. John Harvey in the second dealer team car, the Commodore number 25.
Very wide that time. Tucks it back in for the next right-hander.
This is where Harvey makes time. Just so neat and so smooth. Wheel up there as he comes down the mountain.
Knows how to save on the tyre bill.
Getting ready for that hair-raising run down Conrod Straight.
Under the player bridge.
Oh, this is going to be quick.
Through the last corner, checkered flag at the ready. Uses the wide line out of the corner and he takes the checkered flag.
Well, Harvey's time is quick, but will it be quick enough for 2:18.54?
One man who's not out there qualifying, but well, should have been there, is Jim Keogh in the Toshiba Commodore. Yesterday, Jim had, well, you tell us what you had, Jim.
Well, we had quite a moment, and I guess 175 mile an hour and airborne and across the grass with the acceleration factor, you'd have to say that was quite an exciting ride, wouldn't you?
What happened there? Was it brakes?
Well, the little Toshiba car was just going so well. We just recorded 20 dead on our race tyres, and we had a brand new set of qualifiers here about to bolt on in about 2 laps. And I was finding my brake mark at the end of the straight, and the little thing got airborne at the 300 mark. And of course, once that happens, you've got no retardation.
The green flag, the green car, and the man from Queensland, Dick Johnson, underway.
This is the heavyweight of the race, the Big Falcon. Oh, the Queenslander puts the wheel out as he goes round Hell Corner. Enormous horsepower under the bonnet there. Giant strides up Mountain Straight.
Heading up to GTX Bend. Just listen to 351 work. To the right-hander. The climb to the top of Mount Panorama as Queensland's Dick Johnson goes after pole position.
Big new wheels on the Falcon, sits on the road so much better. A ton of power on the ground.
And listen to the cheers of the crowd across the top of the mountain as one of Australian motorsport's most popular drivers guns the big V8.
Oh, everybody's hero, Dick Johnson. Listen to the cheers. Across the top of the mountain in 1:15.8. If he keeps that up, I hate to think what the final lap time is.
Oh, he's hit the fence and he's gone off the track into a tree.
Marshals and firemen racing to the scene where Johnson has gone off and either taken our cable or the camera. Took our camera cable, that's why we lost picture there just as he speared off the track.
Marshals very quickly on the scene. As we bring you these pictures from
There's
the top
Dick Johnson. It's centre picture now. There he is taking the helmet off. He's okay. throws the helmet in disgust after the car.
Jill Johnson being comforted
Here we go.
in the pit area.
Big,
She's been watching our monitors. She knows that husband Dick is okay.
Dick, I don't know whether there's a hoodoo on you in this mountain. What the devil is it?
Well, Gary, I'm not going to give up till we master it again, I can assure you. It's, I don't know, just one of those things. I must have made a slight error and just clipped the wall coming out, and it just pulled the front of the front wheel off when it got the tyres, which were protruding past the wall at the end of the concrete.
We can take a look at a replay of this incident, and I mean, in hindsight, you were just so desperately lucky to get out of this.
Well, I can't remember that much. All I can remember is the fact that the car was, it understeered a little bit towards the wall, and the back just touched the wall, and it was enough just to pull the car into the tyre.
Steering's gone.
And it just pulled the wheel off, and I can remember heading between a couple of trees, and I tell you what, I'm glad I did.
There wasn't much room to get through there.
Oh, mate, you know, it's like parking in Queen Street, don't you?
Alan Grice, and he's got a lot of hard work ahead of him here as the green flag drops on his flying lap.
The familiar STP colours, the red and blue. Alan Grice coming up to BP cutting.
Not only last year's pole winner, but of course the first man to lap round here in excess of 100 miles per hour average.
Alan Grice at speed. Oh, using a little bit of the marbles on the outside.
And the inside.
And the inside.
Wheel up, spoiler scrapes, pushing hard. And this man knows how to push hard.
Down to Forest Elbow. Wide open spaces of Conrod Straight out wide, and Alan Grice is headed down the straight now. It's quick, but I don't think it'll be as fast as some of the other times. Here's Gricey, number 6, the STP car across the line to take the checkered flag.
Not the quickest, but so very creditable in this hastily prepared car, a 2:18.96 for Alan Grice.
Down through the gears, the whispering Nissan Turbo, George Fury at the wheel and taking the green flag on his timed lap in Hardies Heroes.
Small but fierce, this car. Lightweight in name only.
And a totally different sound of the turbo. Most cars, you can hear the engines revving. But the turbo, you can hear the tyres slipping across the ground more than the engine. Going in there very deep indeed. Here comes the turbo. Down through the mountain.
And quick, quick, quick at the top. Sensationally quick at the top of the mountain. How good will it be? We're about to find out as he takes the left-hander and the checkered flag goes out for George Fury in the Nissan Bluebird. Time, a sensational 2:17.5 seconds.
We'll wait to see whether or not Peter Brock can better that time.
Jim Richards, a slow talker, but boy, a fast driver gets the green flag.
Here he comes.
Oh, what a sensational view. This is Race View. A new addition to our coverage here at Mount Panorama for 1983. The periscope through the top of the BMW, and boy, what a sensation of speed.
A lot of people thought there were going to be maybe 2 or 3 Mazdas in the top 10. But the John Player BMW is there, and certainly one of the leading contenders for an outright victory here tomorrow.
Time at the top of the mountain is very, very quick. Throwing the car. By gee, he is trying so hard. Murray's corner comes up so fast. Take the left-hander. The checkered flag is out for Jim Richards at the end of his flying lap in Hardies Heroes, and the time about to come to hand.
Time coming through for Jim Richards, 2:18.41. Coming up to take the green flag, the fastest man at Mount Panorama this year. Previous best time here in the qualifying leading up to today's Hardies Heroes, a 2:15.3.
Through the corner just beautifully.
Coming up to GTX Bend.
Sharp right hand down on the wheel as he takes the corner. Up the mountain, keep the revs up.
Just listen to the spectator reaction as Peter Brock, the king of the mountain, drops down. Working the V8 Commodore hard. A tidy line through there, picking up the front wheel.
Sensationally quick to the top of the mountain, Peter Brock. Timekeepers hold their breath. They know how fast he's been to the top. Can he keep it up to the bottom?
Through the gears. Checker flag at the ready, and the king of the mountain, Peter Brock, number 05, going across the line.
And quick to the top of the mountain, Peter Brock, and an incredible 2:16.27. What a great time. So it's a slightly depleted list for Hardies Heroes for 1983. It is, in fact, of the top 9, but number 1 is still Peter Brock at Mount Panorama, the fastest qualifier, the pole sitter for the great race for 1983. George Fury shares the front row of the grid with Brock. Then we have car number 3, the Commodore, with David Parsons at the wheel. The BMW of Jim Richards shares second row of the grid. On the third row, the second dealer team car number 25 with John Harvey. Also Warren Cullen in another Commodore, car 22. Car 11, yet one more Commodore, Gary Rogers, alongside Alan Grice in the STP Commodore number 6. And Bob Morris, again in a Commodore, driving car number 4.
You're the man who outdrove everyone to win the award, and to make the presentation to you is the chairman of James Hardie Industries, Mr. John Reid.
Well, congratulations,
Thank you,
Peter.
Tom. Thank you very much.
Wonderful to see you carve another 3.9 seconds off a record time last year, and we'll see what you can do again tomorrow.
Yes, it's going to be, without any doubt, the hardest and fastest race I think we've seen here ever. And I think the time today is 16.2. Once upon a time we were very concerned about the 100-mile-per-hour lap. And here we are now. If we don't get below the 100-mile-per-hour barrier every lap, we think it's a bad one.
Everybody's gone to sleep.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Very good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you.
I hope you can join us on the 7 Network around Australia at 5 minutes to 8 tomorrow morning for what promises to be another thriller on the mountain.
Hardies Heroes is brought to you by James Hardie Industries, the name behind the names.
Hello and welcome, Australia, to Mount Panorama Bathurst and the 7 Network's exclusive telecast of Hardies Heroes, the duel for pole position in the great race of '84, the James Hardie 1000. More than 60 cars and 120 drivers have been here all week preparing for this, battling the mountain and the elements. But only the top 10 on official practice times qualify for a run at the big money and the premier grid position for the James Hardie 1000. Who are the top 10? Here's Mike Raymond.
3 Mazdas, 2 Falcons, 2 Commodores, 1 Nissan Turbo, 1 Jaguar XJS and a BMW 635 make up the field for today's Hardies Heroes. Here's the lineup. Car number 31, Jim Richards of Victoria in the black BMW 635. From Sydney in car 2 is Steve Masterton in the Masterton Homes Falcon V8. The 1984 European Touring Car champion Tom Walkingshaw in the Wang Jaguar XJS, car number 12. Former Bathurst winner Bob Morris drives car number 41, the WB1 Mazda RX-7. From sunny Queensland to bitterly cold Bathurst in car 42, it's Greg Hansford. 4 times Bathurst winner Alan Moffat returns to the mountain in car number 43 and he's on the pace. From Queensland in car 17, the Palmer Tube Mills Falcon, it's the Australian champion, Dick Johnson. From Sydney in car 6, the Roadways Commodore V8, and it's the irrepressible Alan Grice. The country boy with a touch of class, George Fury in the Nissan Turbo Bluebird, car number 15. And the man they call Mr. Perfect, 7 times great race victor, Peter Brock in the Dealer Team Commodore. This man has a strong reputation throughout Europe. Tom Walkingshaw, the European Touring Car champion for 84, takes the green flag now. He's underway in the Jaguar XJS.
This man could just be the cat among the pigeons at Mount Panorama in this version of Hardies Heroes.
Here he comes, heading up towards the cutting. Tom Walkingshaw and the Wang Computer Jaguar. Just listen to it. V12 power, and he's giving it its head as he comes across the top of the mountain.
If anyone knows how to warm up a set of tyres, it's got to be Tom Walkinshaw. The Scotsman, he knows all about cold weather.
Over the hump, and here he comes down through the gears. Walkingshaw.
It's been a slick lap by the British driver. Gee, the clock ticking over, and he's going to post a very good time.
Tom Walkinshaw in the Jaguar had tyre problems prior to his qualifying run. The rear tyres failed to arrive in time. Tom, any tyre problems on top of the mountain?
Yeah, there's just not enough rubber in the back. It's just pointing in too quickly, so the back end wants to turn around all the time.
Bobby Morris, here he comes. He knows the times to beat. Can he do it? Green flag, out it comes. And away goes Bobby Morris in Hardies Heroes.
This is the WB1 checkered flag entry, driven by Bob Morris and Barry Jones. Has had 15 starts at Mount Panorama. Missed only in 1972, and of course won in 1976 with John Fitzpatrick in a Tirana L34. Second in 1981. Has all the right lines to win at Mount Panorama.
Oh, winds the little RX-7 right up off the top of the mountain. Listen to it scream. 1:16.6 his time to the top of the mountain. Not bad, but gee, I don't know if it's going to be good enough.
Here he comes. Morris bobs up beneath the bridge now. Only one corner to go, left-hander.
Clock is ticking over for Bobby Morris, and it's going to be quick, but I think it's going to beat him all the same. 2 minutes, 18.1 seconds, the time for Bobby Morris.
Well, we just went a little bit neater, I suppose, but we're not taking any risks. We're just saving the car for the race. That's where the real money is.
Car number 42, the second of the Alan Moffat Team Mazdas. At the wheel is Greg Hansford, making the top 10 this year.
He's a man who's been around this track on all sorts of vehicles, including two-wheeled versions.
Sixth fastest in practice yesterday. Greg Hansford of Queensland comes out of the cutting and heads to the top of the mountain.
Oh, great talent, Greg Hansford. And what an asset to the Moffat Mazda team. Another low-profile man, doesn't say too much, but by gee, when he gets to the business end of proceedings, he knows how to tool this car around. Cold day, and tyres and handling have been the worry for all drivers. And the only place you can make up a fraction is on Conrod Straight.
Tried to better his qualifying time of 2:15.85, and he takes the checkered flag.
Time for Greg Hansford, 2:18.05.
It's pretty cold, Colin. It takes a lot longer than one lap to get everything nice and warm. My body's even cold.
Down through the gears, car number 31, Jimmy Richards. Expatriate Kiwi underway now in the BMW, 6:35 for his lap in Hardies Heroes.
Early morning snow and bitter cold at Mount Panorama. That has made things very trying.
Sideways out, a little bit of the grass as well, but he straightened it up, heads across to the left side of the course. Heading up Mountain Straight now, Jimmy Richards, full steam ahead in the BMW.
Tyres will not grip in these cold conditions. Drivers desperate to get them warmed up, but to no avail so far. They've all had problems. Now flat out over the top of the mountain. A long sweep of Castrol Curve under the big camping areas there. Spectators hanging over the fence, cheering on the heroes. Who'll post the quickest time? Who'll sit on pole? Will it be Jim Richards?
In just a moment, he's going to find out how much he's been able to warm up his tyres on the way to the top as he heads down through the dipper and the S's, where handling is so important.
Here he comes. Jimmy Richards, Mr. Consistency, the beautifully prepared black BMW. Checker flag at the ready.
Eyes on the clock. Let's check the time for Jimmy Richards.
Jimmy Richards, 2:16.79 seconds. A little slower than yesterday, 2:16.79 to Jimmy Richards.
Jim Richards at 2:16.79. Both times today slower than yesterday. A little disappointed?
No, the track for our car in particular is a little bit slower than it was yesterday. But no, I'm quite happy with that time.
Coming up to take the green flag now, the Prince of Amaroo Park and the Falcon. That's Steve Masterton and the Masterton Homes Falcon V8. First time in the top 10 here at Mount Panorama. And make no mistake, the grunt of the Ford will carry him up the mountain very, very quickly indeed.
Here he comes, one of the hard chargers, Steve Masterton, on his way to the top of Mount Panorama.
Beautifully turned out car, the Masterton Homes V8 Falcon. Really tweaking the engine as he heads up to the top of the mountain now.
His lines have all been great so far. Now Masterton gives it the stick. Perfect line and quick. Half in the mouth, through the S's. The big V8 roars. Here comes Steve Masterton.
Down through the gears for Steve Masterton. Out of the corner, the short run to take the checkered flag, and Masterton goes across the line.
Time's going to be pretty good.
Steve Masterton, the first of the Falcon V8s in Hardies Heroes. Steve, at 2 minutes 16.7. You happy with that time?
Extremely so. I found it hard to get the tyres up to temperature in only one lap of warming up. But these are our race tyres, and we're delighted. This car will race on a full tank of gas at 17s and 18s.
Car number 43. Behind the wheel, former Bathurst winner, Alan Moffat, making the top 10, and he is on the pace this year for the James Hardie 1000.
Can Moffat top the list for Hardies Heroes 84? He's going to give it one hell of a shot right here. Here comes the man, Moffat, 43, Mazda. Arms working, wrestling with the wheel. Now he's on the top of the mountain. Now he can give it the gun. Sweeps through Castrol Curve.
Four-time winner of the great race here at Mount Panorama.
Coming up on Skyline, and you can see why they call it that. Now off the top, hard in the mouth. Through the dipper and the S's. Down through the gears, on the brakes. Takes the left-hander and the checkered flag. What's the time for Alan Moffat?
2:16.41 seconds, the time for Alan Moffat in the number 43 Mazda RX-7.
The atmosphere is very cold, and being one of the lighter cars in the field, the tyres don't get warm in 2 laps.
You had the car in the workshop just before that lap. Any problems?
No, we changed the diff. We weren't very impressed with the first time, so we tried a little better. It's just one of those things.
Can this man do it? Sydney's Alan Grice, car number 6, the Roadways Commodore V8. The man who sat on pole position here 2 years ago. Off to the left you can see the flagman with the green flag. And Grice is underway in Hardie's Heroes. Free flowing through the right-hander. Now the steep climb up Mount Panorama for Alan Grice. Beautifully repaired Roadways Commodore V8 to the Wilco cutting. Out wide, the hump now. You hear it, revs go up. Works right to the white line.
Now watch this man work across the top of the mountain. And look at the people hanging over the fence, cheering him on. This is his big chance for pole. Oh boy, they are packed in up there.
He has the throttle all the way to the floor.
And look at what a handful this car is.
Now across, getting set for his lines. Down through the gears, just clips over the top. Checkered flag off to the left, and Grice all the way to take the checker. 2:14.88 seconds to Alan Grice.
I think the engine might be down just a little bit, but not that much. You know, it's an engine that'll probably loosen up, I think. We put it in last night as our race engine. But the car, you know, I was pretty happy with the lap.
At the bottom of Conrod Straight, the popular Ford hero all the way from Queensland, Dick Johnson, Australia's touring car champion, and he's underway 1 lap and off the course slightly. Go get him, Dick. All the signs around Mount Panorama.
Up towards the cutting. I guess these heavier cars have a better chance of warming up their tyres, but even so, it's so bitterly cold, they're all having trouble.
He is really trying. Change there over the top as he drops down, with the crowd giving him a big send-off. They're welcoming him back to Mount Panorama in the green Ford.
Don't let the good old country boy exterior fool you. This man is as tough as nails and twice as quick. Oh, sensational time off the top of the mountain. 1:15.1.
At this point last year, Dick Johnson came through this corner, clipped the wall and went out into the trees. He's through, he's onto Conrod Straight, and with a good shot perhaps of taking pole position. Checkered flag at the ready, looking for pole. Here he comes, sideways out of the turn and across to take the checkered flag. And here he comes, 2:14.708. Mount Panorama has erupted. Johnson, fast time so far.
Cold, I tell you what, everything's cold. Even my anatomy's that cold I can't even throw it out the bloody window.
A very quick little car. He's going to have a problem here with, as you could see, bringing on the turbo and the tyres on the coal side. It's going to give him a wild ride around the top of the mountain if he hasn't got heat into the tyres.
Real flyer, this car.
Fury, a very, very quick drive around this course. Likes the track. Here he comes. Nice, clean lines. Keeping in mind only a couple of hours ago we had snow across the mountain here at Bathurst.
Oh, quick, quick, quick across the top is George Fury. He is right in the thick of it in Hardie's Heroes. Don't you worry about that. Go, 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 says George Fury, down to the bottom of Conrod Straight. He's about to make the left-hander take the checkered flag for his lap of Hardies Heroes, and it's going to be a quick, quick time.
2:13.850, a staggering time for George Fury. He's got pole at the moment.
These are the conditions that suit the turbo?
Oh, very much so. But even so, I didn't think we could get into a 13, so I'm very happy with that.
If ever Peter Brock could respond to pressure, we'll soon find out. 0-5, 7 times Bathurst winner Peter Brock comes along to take the green flag. The time he has to beat, of course, 2:13.85, the time set by George Fury in the Nissan Turbo.
And really working at it around Hill Corner.
2:14.31 his time in qualifying yesterday. He is really on the gas.
This is where Brock excels, up and over the top of the mountain. Look at him working at the wheel.
How often do you see that from Peter Brock? The pressure is on, and he's answering it. Crowd warming to it. It's the only warm thing at Mount Panorama today. Beautiful lines.
1 minute 15.5 at the top of the mountain. Not bad, but will it be good enough?
Coming down beneath the bridge. Peter perfect. Will it be Peter pole perfect? Here he comes. Clips the inside. And across to take the checkered flag. 2:14.03, the time for Peter Brock, but it's not good enough because George Fury has won pole position for the James Hardie 1000.
That's not a bad time, actually. I'm rather happy with that because I think in these weather conditions, a turbo is very hard to beat in qualifying because they can turn up the boost so much. Cold weather like this would suit them. It's certainly not helping us, but I'm quite happy with the timing.
The title is Hardies Heroes, but in the end result, there can only be one. And the Hardies hero for 1984, George Fury, then a magnificent trophy to go for the pole winner, to be presented by Mr. John Reid, the chairman of James Hardie Industries.
Congratulations, George. Very well done. Having come from nowhere 3 years ago to second position last year, and now you're right at the front of the queue. Wish you all the best for tomorrow.
Thanks very much. It's a great thrill to win pole position, and I'd like to thank James Hardie for having supported which is the best motor race in Australia all these years, and I hope we can do as well tomorrow as we've done today.
George Fury, he's the man on pole position for the James Hardie 1000 for 1984. But let's check the complete top 10 with Mike Raymond.
The top 10 in Hardies Heroes today. Let's look how they'll line up tomorrow morning for the great race. In pole position, George Fury in the Turbo Nissan. The outside of the front row, Peter Brock in the V8 Commodore. From 3, Dick Johnson in the Ford Falcon V8. From 4, Alan Grice in the Commodore. Then Alan Moffat in the RX-7. Jim Richards in the BMW. Steve Masterton in the Ford. Greg Hansford in a Mazda. Bobby Morris in a Mazda. And Tom Walkingshaw in a Jaguar. So a pretty hot field, the top 10 for tomorrow's great race. Make sure you join us 7:55 a.m. Eastern Australian time for one of Australia's great sporting spectacles, the James Hardie 1000.